So in today's video we are gonna see what if Deku had a massive harem, part 1. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Hero Academy? By Lestat 719. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. Izuku Midoriya sat on the train making the long journey back home, her newborn child resting quietly in her arms. All bundled in blankets, his snow-white hair peeking out. The rocking of the train had put the child into a deep slumber. She dabbed at her eyes, they were still red from her sobbing. Izuku was now single mother with nowhere to go. The boy's father, a hero named Taish, the luck hero. His luck had run out when a building collapsed on him. He saved 23 people before the building fell. He had ran back in to try and save more. He wasn't a big-time hero, but he was her hero. He had saved her from a mugging, and after that it was just love at first sight. They had a whirlwind romance. She had gotten pregnant. They had decided to get married after their son was born. So with his death and they not being married, there were no spousal benefits for her. Their son at least would get an inheritance at 18. Thankfully there was that at least. So here Izuku was on the way home to her great-great-great-grandmother's home. It was where her father lived looking after his great-grandmother. He had told her to come home, present her son and stay. It was a custom to bring a child before their great-grandmother Hess. Gigi Hess was an enigma. There were photos taken of her back in the earliest days of Quirks. People would travel from far and wide to present their child to Grandma Hess. The practice had faded quite a bit, but some still did so. Grandma Hess would take the child and give the parents a sort of prophecy or reading for the child's life. It had been said that those who followed her grandmother's advice would have better lives. So people would come to seek her wisdom and divinations. Grandma Hess was considered eccentric at most times, but Izuku loved her. She had spent a lot of time with Grandma Hess since she was a kid. Even in Grandma Hess's advanced years, her eyes would always shine with hint of mischief. Her hugs would always warm in a way that it would make everything better. Izuku needed it so much right now, the hug and the advice. She didn't know what life was going to be now, but she knew that Grandma Hess would have the answers. The train arrived at the station. As Izuku gathered her son and bags, she waited patiently till the rumble of an old truck got her attention. Sure enough, it was her father. He was a big barrel of a man. His once blonde hair had long gone gray. His green eyes still twinkled with mischief. He wrapped his daughter and grandson up in a great hug. He laughed heartily. "Welcome home, Izuku." They rumbled home, her dad prating on about life in town and such things. She could see that her father was trying to find the words. Her father could do many things, but handle emotions was hard for him. That was her mother's job. She had passed when Izuku was 12. He had done his best, but it was still hard. The conversation had almost stopped till they turned onto the long road to the house. "How are you holding up, Izuku?" he said in a soft voice dripping with love for his baby girl. "Good hours and bad hours. It is more of a minute-by-minute thing. I miss him so much, I just don't know what to do." She dabbed at her tears with a handkerchief. "I know it is hard, honey. I still miss your mom every day. But your grandmother will know. Just listen to her and everything will be fine." He placed his massive hand on her shoulder. "But this little one is the only one that matters now." Izuku looked down at the sleeping infant. "I know, Dad, I know." They rumbled up to the family home. It was rather large, still in decent shape, but nowhere near where it once was. Her father told her to head inside and to see her grandmother. She entered the house seeing Sanjo, her fox ears and tail twitching at sound of the door opening. Sanjo had been with the family for generations. She was the housekeeper, maid, problem solvers, surrogate mother, playmate or anything else. The two women embraced each other warmly. Sanjo held Izuku close, giving the new mother a chance to shed some more tears. Sanjo just held Izuku tight. She didn't offer Izuku platitudes or false words, she just let the new mother let go for a minute. When Izuku composed herself more, it was then that Sanjo informed her that Hess was waiting out back in the garden. Izuku emerged into the backyard to find her grandmother sitting in the garden surrounded by all kinds of bright-colored flowers. Izuku loved her grandmother's garden. When she was little, she would sit there with her for hours listening to stories and songs. Sometime Izuku would not say anything but just admire all colors around her, especially when the fuchsia, campanula, lily of the valley, foxglove, and angel's trumpets were all in bloom. Like now all the flowers were in bloom, and in the center of it all sat her grandmother. Her grandmother had her head tilted back, her eyes closed, and he could hear her muttering to herself. Inko waited for a moment before her grandmother turned to her. The faint sound of a bell jingling could be heard. Her grandmother was a small plump woman. Her once long blue hair was now white. She still wore it in pigtails held in place with ribbons that had these old silver bells tied to them. She smiled at her granddaughter and held out her hands. "Welcome home, my little butterfly. It is good to be home. I have missed the warmth of your hearth." Inko responded. Her grandmother had taught Inko this language a long time ago. Inko loved it. It flowed almost like a song or water. It would make Inko feel warm whenever she spoke it. It seemed to resonate deep inside. "I am so glad that you remember, little butterfly. Now come show me your son and let us talk of tomorrow." Inko walked over and handed her son to Hess. Grandmother took him in her arms and silently looked down at the boy. The boy's face squinched as he fussed, letting out small cries. His little eyes opened, looking up at his great-grandmother. He looked to be about to fuss, but he just stopped. Green eyes stared into blue. It seemed like a wealth of information was passing between the two. Inko watched her grandmother begin to tear up and she looked down. "Welcome back, hero. Does the world call for you again?" The tears fell softly on the boy. "Did you come to see me one more time before I go home? Oh, how I have missed you." Inko looked on confused. She didn't understand all the words her grandmother had said. It was the look of joy and sadness on her grandmother's face that had caught her attention more. She had never seen her grandmother like this, and the way she spoke, so full of love. "Is everything okay, mother of the home?" "Oh yes, little butterfly. You see, your son is destined to do great things. He is going to be the greatest hero this land has ever seen. His footsteps will leave footprints in the annals of history. I hope your dreams for the future include grandchildren." "Grandma, are you sure? More so than the sun will rise tomorrow, or that water is wet. Now come sit and tell me everything, but tell me the most important thing. What is his name?" "Izuku Midoriya." "Beru. Yes, that was his father's name, Beru as in Bell." Her grandmother began to laugh, and laugh. Tears fell again. "Welcome home, Bell." That evening as they sat at the table eating, Inko felt good. Her grandmother had made a strong prophecy about her son, though it was strange. Her grandmother had listened to Inko's story and told her granddaughter that she was going to go back to school. Back to university to get her degree to become a doctor. Inko had protested. She had wanted to become a doctor when she was little but had switched to nursing. Now she was a 19-year-old single mother. Grandma Hess wrapped her walking stick on the floor, telling her she would go become a doctor and come home on the weekends to spend time with Izuku, that they would take care of the boy while she did this. She would go and prepare a proper future for her and her son. That now was not the time for Inko to put her head down and do what needed to be done to secure a prosperous future for Izuku and herself. There was no arguing with her. Inko knew that. She also knew that if she listened to her grandma Hess, then things tended to work out in people's favor. If her grandmother saw this for Inko, she would listen. She had to create a good life for Izuku. That night as Izuku slept, his grandmother slipped into his room. She unswaddled the child, stripping him to only his diaper. She pulled out a black dagger from her clothes and made a small cut on her finger. She traced an intricate design on the child's back. "With the blood I mark you, with this blood I bind thee. Let your growth be swift and heart always remain true. Let the world tremble, for the Argonaut has returned." Time. Grandma Hess gave Inko some time to recover before she put her granddaughter to task. When the school said no, Grandma Hess made a phone call and all of a sudden a spot opened for Inko. Grandma Hess arranged for a small apartment on campus for her. Train tickets every Friday evening and Sunday afternoon. Inko steeled herself and clutched her fists. For Izuku. This was her mantra. Difficult class, for Izuku. Too tired to study, for Izuku. Want to skip a study session or lab, for Izuku. Heaven and earth would tremble before this ball of green hair determination. It was for her son, for her Izuku. She would call and talk to him every night. She cried when she missed his first step, word. Hess. Second. Mama. So many firsts. But with her mantra in her heart and mind she would persevere. Izuku knew love. He was loved. Grandma Hess loved him so much, his first memories would entail her, the sound of the bells in her hair, her laugh and mischievous nature. The silly language she spoke, the wondrous stories and tales she would tell him. But, there was one set of stories that were his absolute favorite. The many adventures of the brave, brave rabbit. The way his grandma would tell him the stories, with whispers and shouts, the different voices. The little mouse supporter, the fox maid, the wise crow warrior, the red panda blacksmith, the wind fairy. All of their friends and great exploration and adventures. He really liked it when the wind fairy would show up. She would come and save the brave rabbit. In fact, she was the reason the rabbit learned to be a brave rabbit instead of a scared one. The rabbit chased after Wind Fairy, but the Wind Fairy was hard to catch. That was the secret Grandma told him. He needed to find his own Wind Fairy to chase. And if he could, then he would become even stronger. He would rise to great heights, heights so great that Wind Fairy would chase him. His grandfather told him his second favorite story, the tale of the Argonaut, the great hero, the first hero. Who battled against incredible odds and monsters. Whose very deeds caught the attention of the gods themselves. The hero from before the time of heroes. The hero that changed the world. A true hero. His grandfather would stop, look around and tell him the real secret, that no one else knew. A hero job was to save every girl who was in need. Save them and love them. Izuku would giggle and laugh at his grandfather. Izuku was on the playground, playing in a sandbox. His dump truck had to move the sand. It was a tough job, but his dump truck could do it, till an older boy wanted Izuku's dump truck. He couldn't give it to him, it was his grandpa's dump truck, his grandfather had given it to him. Well, the boy with bullhorns did not like that answer, so he punched Izuku and took his truck. Izuku had tried to chase after the bull, but he was so little. So he did the only thing he could do, he cried. Then there was a sudden wind and a WWWOSSSSHHH. She heard boys scream and a girl's voice yell. Stop being mean to those smaller than you, you big bullies. A shadow fell over Izuku. He looked up, as there was someone standing over him. Are you okay? I got your truck for you. Don't cry, okay? It was hard to see her. Blonde hair? No, it was blue, kind of. She was handing him back his truck. She had slain the bull and saved him and his precious truck. His tears stopped as he looked up at her. Did you make the wind the go WWWOSSSHH? Yup, I can make it whoosh a lot. See? He saw it, she made it go whoosh. His hands flew to his little mouth. The wind fairy? The little girl laughed. Yup, that is me, the wind fairy. Do not let anyone take your truck, okay? She ran off. Wait, but she didn't hear him. He tried to run after her, but his little legs didn't make it. He tripped and fell. He was just lying there till he felt the hands of his grandfather scoop him up. You okay there, my little hero? His grandfather said. You okay, Belle? He heard his grandma. Grandma, I found her, he said excitedly. Who did you find? His grandmother responded. The wind fairy, and she was pretty. Some bull kid took my truck and she made the wind go whoosh and she saved it and she brought it back, but she went whoosh and ran away. A twinkle of delight lights up in his grandmother's eyes. So, the wind fairy saved you from a bull monster. Yup. Well then you better get strong so you can catch her. I will, grandma, I will. Izuku, 4.5 years old. Izuku was on his way home from kindergarten. Walking hand in hand with Sanjo, he was telling her all about the kids in his class and how some of them were getting their quirks. How much he wanted to get his. He hoped that his would be like the brave rabbit. He wanted to shoot fire and save people. Sanjo would just smile at him and tell him she was positive that when his quirk came in it would be amazing. They had stopped at the store to pick up dinner. Izuku pleaded with her to let him ride the rocket ship outside while she went shopping. Sanjo smiled and gave him 200 yen so he could ride twice. He blissfully inserted his coin and clambered in to enjoy his trip to space. The second ride was even better as he was able to finish off the evil Freya and save the galaxy. He had just climbed out and was waiting for Sanjo like a good boy when he saw a girl with brown hair and pink cheeks running across the street. Spaceship, she cried. The girl had escaped her mother's grasp and was on a mad dash towards the object of her desire. The truck coming down the road barely saw the girl. The sound of his horn filled the air. Oh, no, the truck. Izuku thought. Before he knew it he was running towards her. He did not know why he just did it. His feet had just moved on their own. Faster, faster, I need to be faster. He felt this heat in his legs and across his back. Everything slowed down. He blinked and the girl was in his arms. The horn of the truck blaring. No, I have to save her. He blinked again. Sanjo was standing in line at the checkout. She could see little Izuku standing by the window, then she saw him run into the street. Her scream startled everyone as she raced out into the street. She saw him and a little girl with brown hair about to be hit by the truck. It was all moving in slow motion as she screamed his name. Moments earlier Ochako was happily walking down the street with her mommy. They had just come from the doctor's office. Her quirk had come in. She could make people float. Well, she had made herself float in her bed, and her 13 action figure. She was stuck on the ceiling for a bit before they came crashing back down. She was looking at her new mittens that she had to wear, for now they looked like space gloves to her. She loved space and all things space. She looked around and there it was. The rocket ship that would take her to space for all the adventure she could dream of. She ran to her future, to the stars. The blaring horn of the truck caught her attention. She heard her mom scream. Suddenly there was a boy with snow-white hair and green eyes right in front of her. He crashed into her and she was in space. Floating, then she was in pain. Now Izuku came crashing down onto the sidewalk. It really hurt as he tumbled into the side of the store. He was holding on to the girl for dear life. His arms around her head. Unfortunately, that meant there was no arms around his head. He found out an especially important lesson that day. Concrete and bricks hurt like crap, man. He crashed into the building front, his head burst into pain. He heard the screeching of tires and the screams. Most importantly to him, he heard the girl crying. Good, I saved her. Why is everything going dark? Sanjo screamed and fell to her knees. Izuku was dead. He had just been hit by a truck. She had failed. The most important task she had was to keep him safe, and she had failed. She scrambled towards the screeching truck as it was skidding to a halt, expecting to see bloody smears. Then she heard a girl crying. Looking to the other side of the street, a little girl was crying, holding out her arms to a woman. She saw him. She saw Izuku, crumpled against the store front. His snow-white hair a dark red mess as it ran down his face, painting it crimson. Inko's phone rang in the middle of class, startling her and embarrassing her. She quickly apologized to the professor in her class. Looking at the ID, it was Grandma Hess. She quickly answered, her face going white before bolting upright, grabbing her purse and bolting out of class. She was able to yell at her friend Akuto to grab her things for her that Izuku had been hurt as the door closed. Akuto Yaoyorozu blinked for a moment, gathering her friend's things. She apologized to the teacher and told him to continue with the lesson. Akuto was worried for her friend. The two had bonded over being mothers and going back to school to complete their degrees. She knew that Izuku was Inko's son. She quietly sent a request on her phone to the nannies for an update on her Momo. Grandma Hess sat in the car as her grandson drove like a bat out of hell. Sanjo's frantic call had been a lightning bolt, to say the least. Her little Belle had saved a girl from a gruesome end, but in true hero fashion had injured himself in the process. She was worried about her little Belle. Inside she shook her head. Not even 5 years old and already saving girls. That was her Belle and she wouldn't have it any other way. The Minotaur roared at him. Izuku was not going to back down. He wasn't going to be afraid. The Wind Fairy had saved him again. He could not let her save him again. He wanted to be able to protect her, stand with her. His blood roared in his ears. Gripping the dagger once more, he rose to his feet. He would be a hero. He would protect all those he cared about. He charged the Minotaur. He would take this beast down himself. Izuku slowly opened his eyes. His head hurt really bad. Someone was holding his hand. It took a little bit for him to adjust to the light. He saw a familiar head of green hair. His mom was asleep with her head on the bed, holding his hand. He gave it a squeeze, waking her. Seeing him awake, she nearly leapt out of the chair to pull him into her arms and give him a crushing hug, but at the last second, she caught herself. Instead, she pulled him into a gentle hug and was crying. Then it hit him. Mom, is the little girl okay? Inko looked at her son. He had suffered a concussion, cracked his skull and was unconscious. First words out of his mouth were asking about the little girl he had saved. He was a hero just like his father, and that scared Inko. Yes, Izuku, she is. Are you okay? You scared your mommy to death. I am sorry, but she was going to get hit by the truck and I don't even remember running out there. I just wanted to save her. Inko reached over and hit the nurse call button. Well, you did save her. She has some bruises, but she will be just fine. Mom, I think my quirk woke up. I ran, then bam I was to her, then bam I crashed. We will talk to the doctors about that later, my brave little rabbit, but first you are going to be crushed by the terrible mama bear. She pulled her son to her and hugged him. Izuku loved when his mom would do this, whenever he would see her on Friday and when she would leave on Sunday. It would just be so warm, even when he missed her, if he closed his eyes he could still feel it. Even here in the hospital she made it feel like home. Like he was sitting in front of a gigantic hearth, all warm and fuzzy. Inko told the nurse that her son was awake. After her son called for air by tapping on her back, she let him go. He told her all about his adventure. About the spaceship and then seeing the girl run into the street. His mother just listened and giggled at the sound effects Izuku added. Well, my brave little rabbit. It sounds like you had an interesting day. She rubbed his back and smiled at him as the doctor walked in. As the doctor walked in, Izuku felt his back heating up. At first he thought it was from his mom rubbing his back, then it was like a burning sensation. It was getting hotter, he started to scream. My back, Mom, my back, it burns. Inko jumped up as the doctor rushed over the quickly opened the back of his gown and saw black liquid writhing across his back under the skin. The doctor hit the emergency button. The door burst open and in walked Grandma Hess. Grandma Hess, his back, something is wrong, Inko yelled. Grandma Hess saw the black liquid swirling. She knew what was happening. She told her grandson to not let anyone in. She walked over bypassing the doctor to Inko. Tell what happened from when he woke up to now, she said. Inko took a deep breath and responded. To Inko's surprise, Grandma Hess smiled so brightly. You doctor, give me a needle now, ma'am, the doctor said in confusion. Cresto, give me a needle, Grandma Hess, her eyes blazed brilliantly. Now. The doctor blinked and quickly obeyed. Okay, Inko, roll him onto his stomach. Inko complied. Grandma Hess grabbed Inko's finger and stabbed it with the needle. Now drop some of your blood onto his back and repeat exactly after me. But grandmother, Inko did as she was commanded. She could hear the commotion outside the door. With this blood your deeds are recorded. With this blood your achievements are bound. With this blood you grow. Hestia said the words as Inko repeated them. The swirling blackness stopped, and letters formed on Izuku's back as well as symbol of a bell wrapped in flames. There was the mix of numbers and letters, then words at underneath the newly formed symbol. Divine blessing, rabbit step Lieris freeze. The ink settled, leaving a dark stain almost like a tattoo on Izuku's back. Grandma Hess smiled at her grandchildren. Good job, Inko. I always knew you had it in you. You can let them in now, she yelled to Inko's father. The door opened and nurses and doctors ran in. Izuku was breathing easier. He looked back at his mom. I feel much better now, he gave her a smile. Inko looked to her son and then looked to her grandmother. Hess just smiled at her and said, tonight. Hess went and pulled the doctor aside. She spoke to him quickly and soon he nodded. After they examined Izuku, it was determined that he would need to be kept for observation for the next few days because of the concussion. That night Inko joined her grandmother in the gardens. They took a seat as Sanjo placed some tea and retreated. Grandmother, what was that at the hospital? Inko, I want you listen because this is very important. Inko nodded. Our family has a unique quirk that occasionally crops up. What you saw on little Izuku's back is that quirk. It is called divine blessing. It is very rare and very old. It grows like all quirks do, but while most quirks grow with exercising them like your telekinesis, this one grows with experience. The more the person experiences, the more it grows. The stronger the person becomes. The other part is that someone records their deeds and guides them. That lies within our blood. Our family had been tied to this quirk from the very beginning. In fact, my dear husband had it, and I was his record keeper. Our blood ingrains the records into them, strengthen them. The special language we use allows us to do that. It allows us to speak to their soul, to engrave their deeds upon it. For all my years I would teach all my children this language, but none could ever speak it like you do. You carry my blessing. So, what does that mean, Grandma? You will have to be responsible for recording Izuku's deeds, helping him to grow, to become stronger. I have a lot to teach you, Inko. My time is short. Will you do it? Will you shepherd Izuku and help him grow into the hero he will become? I'm scared, Grandma. I do not want to lose him like I did his father. Tears forming at the corner of her eyes. Inko, he is going to run headlong into danger to try and save people. Yes, he will get stronger on his own, but without your recordings he will always be a 1/4 of his power, putting him in even more danger. Inko sighed a heavy sigh. Okay grandma, okay. Tell me how to help Izuku and keep him safe. Okay, first let me tell you how you will bring his lovers and friends into your familia. Lovers? WWWHHHHHATTTTTT. Grandma Hess laughed and laughed. Oh, Inko, you are going to be buried in grandchildren, trust me. Izuku came home from the hospital 2 days later, fully healed, no stitches or staples for his busted head. It seemed it was a side effect of his quirk, divine blessing. He healed faster than most. The great part was rabbit step. After meeting with the quirk doctors and his grandma Hess, he found that he could teleport. He could disappear and reappear a short distance away. That was how he got across the street. He had stepped to the girl and stepped again. This also gave a speed burst, which explained how he had hit the building so hard. The absolute best part was when he got to meet the little girl. She had brown hair, pink cheeks, and brown eyes. They had come to apologize to Izuku. While the parents did, the kids just decided that they would play and be best friends. Ochako and Izuku were playing in the park one day after school. They were on the swings when the bullboy bully came back. He tried to push Ochako down, but Izuku ran and rabbit stepped into him, knocking him over. Unfortunately, while Izuku was fast, once the bullboy got a hold of him, it wasn't good. Ochako was struggling against bullboy's allies when it happened again. Whoosh, bam, oof. The Wind Fairy. Ochako and Izuku were so impressed on how she just swooped in and saved them. The even better part was she played with them. She talked really fast. It was hard for Ochako to keep up. Izuku talked just as fast. It was very funny to Ochako. Then, just like the wind itself, the Wind Fairy left. But the wind had told them her name, Nejire. Izuku, 6 years old. When Izuku was 6, tragedy struck. He knew something was wrong. His mom came home on a Tuesday. Grandma Hess had not been feeling well lately. She still would tell him stories or just hold him tight and sing old songs to him. She would snuggle him close and stroke his hair. They had moved her bed out into the garden. Lots of people started coming over. They would all come and go sit with his grandma. He would see them cry and she just pat their hands and smile. Even heroes arrived to pay their respects. They would smile for him and sign his book before going to the garden, where they would sit and talk with his grandmother. His mom was incredibly sad. Her friend from school came over and brought a new friend for Izuku. Her name was Momo. She was very nice. When he asked what was happening, it was Momo who told him. The same thing happened to her grandpa last year. He was getting ready to go to heaven. Izuku cried. He did not want his grandma to go to heaven. He wanted her to stay and tell him stories. Momo just hugged him. She understood. She did not want her grandpa to go either. But her mama told her that in heaven her grandpa would always be looking down on her and keep her safe. It was Sunday night. His mom told him to come say goodbye. He walked to the garden. She wasn't in her bed. She was lying on a blanket in her flowers. His grandpa was standing to the side. She was reclined. She held a hand out to Izuku. He walked over, wiping his tears. He slowly lied down next to her. My precious little Belle, I will not be able to go on this adventure with you this time. But I will be watching over you, I promise. You are going to be a great hero, my little Belle. Make sure you ring loud and clear for all to hear. I am glad I got to see you again. Now promise me something. Anything, Grandam Hess. Promise that you will never stop protecting those you care about, and promise me that you will always smile even when it's darkest. I will, Grandma Hess. Hestia, say I promise, Hestia. I promise, Hestia. Izuku started to cry. His grandma looked at him and such a warm smile crossed her face, her eyes twinkled. He smiled back for her like he promised. She gently touched his face, her eyes closing. There was a pillar of light, such a light, it stretched to the very heavens. The pillar surrounded them. Izuku thought he saw his grandma, young and smiling as a very pretty woman with red hair and eye patch, was hugging her and laughing. There were others there. They all seemed to be waiting for his grandma. As the light faded, he saw his grandma turn and yelled to him. Go be a hero, Izuku. Be the best hero ever. I will, I promise. He felt a warm heat on his back. A new word appeared. Argonaut. When the light disappeared, Grandma Hess was gone. No body, nothing. The family had a private ceremony for her. They erected her monument in the garden. Izuku, 8 years old. Izuku was sad, so was Ochako. Her best friend was moving. His mom had graduated college and was now a doctor. She had gotten a job at a hospital at Nagoya Hospital. They had packed up everything. Ochako was there sitting with Izuku. She gave him her 13 action figure. He gave her his All Might. They promised to write and visit if they could, but the most important promise was, they would be heroes together. They would go to UA together. Izuku got his first kiss that day. He was left stunned as Ochako ran away. "I love you, Izuku," she shouted as she ran away. His grandfather patted him on the back and congratulated him on his first girlfriend. As they were getting ready to leave, he saw his grandfather giving a small box to his mom. Inko, she smiled at the display of young love and the silly, stunned look on her son. She had him all loaded into car. She had bought it with part of her inheritance after Grandma Hess passed. Apparently Grandma was more well off than any of them knew. Inko, her father, Sanjo and Izuku were left sizable inheritances. Inko's school was paid for in full. She was able to buy a nice house in Nagoya near her hospital. There were funds set aside for Izuku's schooling, so Inko was able to enroll him in a private academy. Akuto had helped Inko enroll him in the same school as her daughter Momo. The house was empty. Sanjo had left to retire with her relatives. Her grandfather was going to travel the world. The house just was not the same without Grandma Hess. As she was leaving, her father walked over and handed her the box. She opened it and inside was a black dagger. It was Izuku's. Hestia's will had been very explicit in this. She closed the box, hugged her dad and walked over to the car. Now they were off to live a new life. Izuku and Momo, 12 years old. Izuku and Momo lay on their backs in the floor of her family's dojo, panting heavily. "So Izuku, any more smart ideas? Look, it sounded good in my head and your idea didn't work last week anyway." Momo smiled. "Yay, that wasn't my best idea, but it sure was fun though." "You know, Momo, so you have way too much fun doing this." They staggered to their feet. She picked up his dagger and tossed at him as he tossed her staff to her. They looked at their sensei, smiling as she straightened her maid outfit. Now young Meow stirs one more time with feeling. The duo charged in. Surly Plan 567 would be the one to lead them to victory. "Wait, is that a foot coming at me?" He awoke with his head in Momo's lap. So, plan number 567 was a failure. "Yes, it was, but thank you for taking that hit for me, it was sweet." Izuku blushed some. "That's just me, sweet as a cinnamon roll." "Well, I am glad your sense of humor is working well. Now we have to study for our chemistry test." "You know, Momo, just when I think that you are the best, you turn around and are the absolute worst." She smiled. He slowly got up and helped her to her feet. "To the library," she shouted. "Into hell," he responded. "You are spending the night tonight again." "If it's okay, Mom has the night shift again. Your room is always ready." As they finished studying, they had dinner together. Truthfully, they had dinner together most nights. As they were walking upstairs, Izuku turned to Momo. "Would it be okay if I borrowed a book from the library? I finished the one you recommended and wanted something to read before bed tonight." "Of course, Izuku, help yourself." "Thank you, Momo." Izuku wandered into the library, searching through the stacks. He was startled from his search by a cough. He turned and saw one of the maids. She had light gray hair and eyes and warm smile. "Might I recommend this one, Master Bell?" She extended a strange book with interesting markings. Izuku thought it was odd how she called him Master Bell, but something made him dismiss it. "Is it good? I am sure you will love it." "Why, thank you, Sir." "Thank you, Sir." She curtsied and left. He took the book and made his way to room, got ready for bed, and nestled down with his book. In the days before mankind was on the brink of destruction, the great beasts had risen from the depths. All was lost till a gift was given. Magic. Izuku just drifted into darkness. The Moss Unique roared at Izuku. He would end this thing. It was the only chance to save Momo. He raised his dagger. The flames filled the blade. "Argo Vestia!" he roared, leaping in to finish this once for all. He awoke, his back was sore, the book was blank. He meets Momo downstairs. Momo was very confused by his story. Things got even weirder when she told him. "Izuku, there is no servant here by the name of Seer." She summoned the head butler. They confirmed no one named that or matching the description. When his mom came home and did a recording for him, it had happened firebolt. Izuku's quirk had evolved. It was just like his stories. The brave, brave rabbit. Little Izuku squealed. Inko sat there looking down at her son's back as they completed their ritual. He was growing more so since he was training with Momo in her dojo. All these years she could see it, every time they updated his status. She could see the numbers growing. It was so great to see, it helped her sleep better. She knew he was getting stronger. Izuku, 16 years old. Izuku and Momo were sitting in a private terminal at the airport. I am going to miss you too. But you cannot pass up the opportunity to take those classes at Cambridge. You earned that internship. Besides, it is only 2 years. You still want to go to UA, right? Of course, I will be back to apply and take the exam. Nothing will stop us. He smiled. She leaned over and gave him a kiss on the cheek. I'll see you at UA, Izuku. Izuku stared deeply into her beautiful black eyes. He leaned in and kissed her lips. I can't wait. Momo flushed red as she turned and walked out the gate to her waiting plane, her fingertips on her lips. Izuku sighed and headed home. He had wished that he had summoned up the courage sooner. Maybe when she gets back, he wondered. Izuku, it was a definite adjustment period with Momo being gone. They would text each other as they could. Her classes were rather intense. Izuku was studying and doing his training. Unfortunately, he didn't have access to combat maids anymore. He was on his way home one evening when a woman carrying a child burst from an alley right into him. Luckily, Izuku had grown to respectable 5 feet 10 and was in great shape from all his training. He did not fall. He caught the woman. She was a kitsune, blonde hair and tail. She is wearing a red kimono that was dirty and torn. In fact, the girl was very dirty. The child in her arms was not much better. She wore a dirty, tattered gray nightgown, arms heavily bandaged. The smell of dirt and blood clung to them. Please take her and run. Don't let them get her, please. No, Haru, you have to come with me. Please, sir, please save us. Izuku did not know exactly what to do, but he knew he had to save them from whatever they were running from. That was a hero's job. He felt it, something emanating from the alley, a dangerous aura. Out stepped a man, black slacks and shirt, white tie, green jacket, plague mask, brown hair, gold eyes, slightly taller than Izuku by a 1/2 inch or so. I'm sorry, sir, my sister is ill. She doesn't know what she is saying. Please take her, sir, please, the kitsune whispered. Save us, please save us, the child cried, clinging to him. Izuku knew that this man was dangerous, but he had to try. He moved the 2 girls behind him and drew his black dagger, the lettering on it glowing white. I don't think I can allow you to take these girls. They don't want to go with you. Foolish boy. The man flexed his fingers. He looked over at the 2 girls and whispered, when it starts, run. I will keep you safe, but I need you to run away. The kitsune nodded. The boy they had just met was going to fight for them. For a common whore and lost child. A hero had come, just like her favorite story. The man flexed his fingers. Izuku tensed, ready to do battle. As the man reached to strike the ground with his palm, Izuku rushed forward. The strange man wanted to make contact with the ground. If he wanted that, then Izuku needed to stop that. He didn't know this person's quirk, but analysis told him as much. Firebolt. He yelled, stretching out his palm. I just need to let them escape. The fire magic raced forward, impacting just as the man was about to make contact, causing him to leap back, his hand singed. Rabbit step. He surged forward, suddenly up close to the man. He swung his dagger. The man snarled as he caught the blade in the palm of his hand. Letting out a grunt, he activated his quirk. He would destroy this blade, then this annoyance. Nothing happened. The man froze in surprise. This gave Izuku the opening. He pivoted off the ground, delivering a spin kick that sent the man flying. Trying to press his advantage, he charged forward. The man touched his own hand and Izuku froze as it exploded, then reformed. His pause cost him dearly as the man slammed his hand into the ground, causing the alley to explode in sharp spikes. Izuku twisted to avoid being impaled, but he still suffered a nasty gash on his side. Quickly, he regained his balance and pushed off towards the wall to gain some air. The spikes were chasing him up. Faster, I need to go faster. Rabbit step. He bounced along the walls, climbing higher till he exploded out of the alley into the air. Twisting to find his bearings, he saw the man. With a smile, Izuku said, gravity works. Down he went. He pushed firebolt into the blade, again, and again. Step, step, the pushed through and past the spikes. The man raised his hand to destroy this pest coming down on him. Argo Vestia. He roared. The man fell back as Izuku contacted the ground with his strike. The explosion rocked the area, the spikes exploding around them. Izuku's world was spinning. Too many steps. No, I can't go down yet. He pushed off the ground to his opponent. He didn't see the second one until he was bulldozed out of the alley from the impact. He rolled into the street, his clothing tearing and fraying from the asphalt. Ribs broken, he managed to roll to his one knee as he coughed up a torrent of blood. Out of the alley stepped a beast. The beast that Izuku had seen before, in a dream. It was a minotaur all red with tufts of black, red horns. It stomped out. Hot breath escaping its nostrils. Asterius. Kill him. The beast roared and rushed the would-be hero. Izuku rushed forward, ducking under the attempted gore of the beast, sliding between the beast's legs, his dagger slashing into its legs. He stepped again to the man, this time appearing behind him. Overhaul was ready when he saw the pest disappear, so he thought. The sharp biting pain in his shoulder told him otherwise. As the black dagger dug deep, he saw the fire build up in the blade. Immediately he touched his shoulder, exploding it and his arm, knocking the hero back. He rolled to his side as the Asterius came in and grabbed the hero by his head and introduced him into the wall. Izuku screamed. He dug the blade into the beast's arm. Firebolt, the forearm exploded, sending the hero to the ground. He barely rolled to avoid certain death as the spike exploded. He was impaled in the right side of his gut. He saw the beast pick up its severed arm as the man stumbled forward. The beast exploded in a shower of blood and guts. Izuku stared on in horror, then fear as the beast reformed as good as new. The beast charged. Izuku knew he needed to get out of this alley. He pushed it as hard as he could. Rabbit step. The man swung his hand behind him, barely grazing Izuku's shredded shirt, as he fell into the street again. His mind was shutting down. Too much firebolt, too much rabbit step. He rose to his feet, his legs quivering on the verge of giving out as he saw the spikes rushing towards him. He could not dodge. Get down! A voice yelled behind him. Izuku dropped. He was a kid about his age, landed in front of him. He had spiky red hair. Placing his arms in an X. Maximum hardening. The kid shouted, as the spikes exploded against him. Eijiro Kirishima and Mina Ishido. Dude, can you believe I won the tournament? Mina squealed. No one can touch Alien Queen in Hero Dance Off Extreme. Yay bro, it was super manly. I can't believe. Mina's comment was cut off as they were barreled into. Hey, what the? Mina, you, okay. There was a kitsune, in a red kimono, holding a little girl. Help please, we need help. He is fighting them by himself, please, we need help. Who is what? Mina said. Eijiro immediately put his hand on the kitsune's shoulder. What does your friend look like? White hair, green eyes. Please, you must help him, Overhaul is going to kill him. Mina call for help, he yelled as he ran off in the direction that the kitsune had come from. Eijiro, what are you going to do? The manly thing. He raced off following the sound of the explosion. He looked around as he came on the street where debris was scattered. He saw White Hair Boy come flying out the alley bleeding bad. He saw Summon in Sweet emerge, placing his hand to ground as the spikes flew at the guy. Get down. The dragon hero Ryuko Tatsuma and the Wind Fairy. Ryuko was happy for a quiet night as she and her intern were just finishing their first patrol. Nejire Hado was a bundle of energy, kittens, puppies and sugar rolled into one. Nejire asked questions in rapid-fire succession, chased a purse snatcher for 3 blocks, and went and bought an old lady some milk so said woman wouldn't have to go out so late to get it. They were sitting on the rooftop waiting for their relief when an explosion erupted in the distance. Nejire jumped up excitedly, looking at Ryuko with a wide grin. There's Villiany afoot, she yelled. Ryuko sighed. Yes, there is Nejire, let us see what can be done about it. Taking the form of a dragon as she leapt into the air, they raced off. The street warriors. Dude, you got to get out here, you're bleeding out. Izuku placed his hand against the hole in his side. Firebolt, he yelled, then he screamed in pain, the wound cauterized. Holy hell bro, that was manly. Izuku's consciousness was fading in and out. Don't let him touch you. He can destroy things with just a touch. Got it. Holy shit, what is that? Asterius came barreling out of the alley, colliding with Nejire. Nejire caught the charge, his hand catching the horns. They slide back, coming to stop just in front of the injured Izuku. Overhaul dashed to the side to come at them from the side. Izuku tried to raise his dagger, as Overhaul hand was mere inches from his face. I don't think he wants to be touched, mister. Overhaul was flung back by a spiral shockwave. It knocked Izuku back as well. Nejire held, but Asterius was thrown off balance. Using the opportunity, Nejire flung him to the side. A dragon landed between the boys and Minotaur. A beautiful girl landed between them and Overhaul. Izuku knew he was dying at this point. A dragon had just appeared, and the dragon was not alone. It was her, the Wind Fairy. He just smiled. It's okay now, the Wind Fairy is here. His mind shut down and everything went black. Overhaul could hear the sirens. At the far end of the street another hero was arriving, Eraserhead. Asterius retreat. He placed both hands on the ground, causing a massive explosion of spikes as he raced off. Nejire grabbed Izuku as Ryuko grabbed Nejire and leapt into the sky. Asterius glared at the white-haired boy before fleeing into the night. Nejire looked at the bloodied boy in her arms. He had called her the Wind Fairy. She remembered him. What is it with you and bull quirks? Nejire and Ryuko set the boys down, as a fox woman ran and a little girl ran to Izuku. Is he alive? The woman shouted. A pink girl barreled into the red head. You dumb ass, don't do that to me again. Mina, why didn't you wait for the police? They're terrified of the cops. The girl said that he has the cops on his payroll. That they had escaped before, but they were taken back by the police. The little girl reached down to the boy and started crying. It was then light erupted from a horn on the girl's head. The kitsune immediately backed away. Eri, you have to calm down. Nejire went to reach out, but the kitsune tackled her away. Ryuko went to react at the woman attacking her intern. She looked over to the injured kid and saw his wounds healing and his clothes reforming. Then the little girl passed out. Ryuko looked and saw Eraserhead's hair floating. She knew what that meant. As soon as the glow was gone, the kitsune scrambled back to the little girl, taking her in her arms. It's okay now, Eri, it's okay. Nejire walked over to the two and placed a hand on the fox girl. It's okay now. Who are you running from? The girl looked up, tears flowing down her face. Overhaul, his name is Kai Chisaki. Eraserhead did a sharp intake of breath. What did you say? Kai Chisaki, please, you must protect us. You must protect Eri. Nejire looked over to Ryuko, who had returned to her human form. Ryuko nodded her head. Do you have a name? Sanju no Haruhime, she said with a slight bow, and this is Eri. Okay Haruhime, my name is Nejire, and this is the dragon hero Ryukyu. We are going to stay with you, but we need to get you two to the hospital. We promise we won't let anyone take you, okay? What about him? She looked towards Izuku lying unconscious, blood staining his white hair. He is going to the hospital too. Ryuko was proud. Normally her intern would jump and bombard people with questions, but she was speaking calmly and slowly. Ryuko walked over to the redhead and the pink girl. Hey kid, good job jumping in there and protecting the other guy. Is he a friend of yours? No, never seen him before tonight. Nejire answered. Nejire Kirishima, and this is Mina Ishido. Mina looked up and gave a smile. Heyo. Well kids, we are going to have you come down to the hospital to get checked out, and we are going to need a statement, so sit tight, emergency vehicles will be here shortly. She gave them a smile and walked over Eraserhead. So, I take you know this, Kai Chisaki? Yay, he is the head of the Chisaki crime family, old school Yakuza. I have butted head with some of his people, they have been pushing trigger lately. That is some bad stuff. Any leads? No, but I am hoping I can get something out, those two over there and maybe the unconscious one. Well, it's going to be a long night, it always is. Izuku, his mind slowly came back online. Surprisingly, he was not sore at all or feeling that drained. He felt something warm holding his hand as his faculties returned. He looked down at his hand to see his mother holding it asleep. The sound of the monitors filtered in next as he took in his surroundings. He was in a hospital room. The girl and kid. He squeezed his mom's hand, causing her to awake instantly. She sat up. Izuku. Thank goodness you are all right, before she could go into doctor mode. Are the girl and kid okay? What about the guy with red hair? The girls are fine, they are in another section of the hospital under guard. The redhead's name is Ejiro and he was fine. He has already gone home after giving his statement. Now Mr. Doctor mode activated. As soon as he answered her questions she switched to mom mode and smothered him with hugs and tears, till he tapped her on the shoulder. Air. She pulled back. You scared me, Izuku. I need to go let them know that you are awake, and the police have been waiting to take your statement along with some grumpy pro-hero. Leaving Izuku alone for a few minutes he peeked under his gown to check his side. To his surprise there wasn't even a mark. He healed faster than most but he would still scar. A few moments later a hobo entered the room. Hello Mr. Midoriya. I am the pro-hero Eraserhead. I wanted to take your statement about the incident that happened tonight. I also want to let you know that depending on what you say you can possibly be charged with vigilantism for using your quirk in public without a license. Would you like a lawyer present or a guardian? Yes, my mother please. They waited for Inko to return. After some introductions Izuku proceeded to explain everything that happened. His reasoning seeing the state the girls were in, the fear. The way the man acted. How he used Firebolt to keep the man from touching the ground as a first strike and his reasoning why. He then went over the battle as best he could describing his actions and the actions of his opponents up till Ejiro joined the battle. He then said that he knew someone else had saved him from overhaul. He wasn't sure but he thought it was someone he had met before. Eraserhead asked to examine the dagger which Inko handed over. It's rather dull, you should get it sharpened. There is a gray area with you striking first, but with you feeling your life was in danger and I highly doubt that he will be coming forward to press charges. You should be fine. So kid, what are you planning to do in the future? I want to be a pro-hero sir. Then study hard, maybe I will see you at UA. Thank you, sir. Eraserhead. The police came in and took his statement. The doctors overseeing his case told him he would not be going home till tomorrow. Then she blew in like the wind. She was right in his face, mere inches away. She smelled nice. She was even more beautiful than he remembered, and more grown up. He felt himself turning red. Hey dump truck kid, why are you red? How are you? It has been a long time. Why did you pick a fight and not run? What's your quirk? Why do you have dual knife? Did you know you were fighting overhaul? How about the girl? Is she your girlfriend? Is that your kid? I can't believe you recognized me. You even called me the Wind Fairy. I like that name. Can you tell me? Ryoko had followed her intern into the room and pulled her away from the patient. Nejire, calm down, he just woke up. I was red because you were so close and very pretty. It has been 12-ish years. I just wanted the girls to get away. It's called divine blessing. The knife is a family heirloom. I have no idea who Overhaul is. No, I never meet the kitsune before tonight or the kid. I don't think I could ever forget you and sorry for the calling you the Wind Fairy name. His mouth finished vomiting out answers as his mind just caught up with two statements he had made. 1. He called her very pretty. 2. He said he could never forget her. His mind decided at that point to check into witness relocation at that moment and he blue screened. Nejire was surprised on two fronts. 1. He answered every one of her questions. 2. He thought she was pretty. Make that 3. He knew how long it was since they had last seen each other. She blushed and looked away. Ryoko laughed, dragging her intern out of the room, apologizing to Inko, who was stifling a laugh at the how thing. When Izuku came back online, it was just him and his mom. Please tell me that was all a very lucid dream? Nope, you just told your Wind Fairy how cute she was. Kill me now. I do not think so, mister. How are you feeling? Actually, I feel great. I really can't wait to get home so you can give me a recording. Well, everything looks good from the medical scans and your physical evaluation. I am going to go home and get some sleep. I will be back tomorrow to take you home and bring you some fresh clothes. I love you, Izuku. I love you to mom. The beast was before him again, this time black not red, but he knew it was his same advisory. They battled in the city square. He failed, the beast won this time. He would not lose to this monster again. Their next meeting would be their last. Ox Slayer luck. Izuku went home the next day and was very happy when Inko had done his recording. He wasn't sure what the LVL2 meant, but he felt incredible. It had been 2 weeks since the incident. After several interviews with the police, Izuku was not charged with any crimes. He was free to begin his training again. He did receive a massive earful when he told Momo everything that had happened. So you just saved a kitsune and a little girl from a gangster? Kind of, I just held them off till help arrived. I am not sure that counts. Izuku, I very sure that counts. I barely leave you and you almost get killed. What am I going to do with you? Be very kind and give me praise, or I am going to lecture you on being reckless. Which do you think it is? Probably the latter if I was to guess. Hey Izuku? Yes Momo. Why did you kiss me? He took a deep breath. Because you are beautiful, intelligent and one of the most caring girls I have ever met. I am just sorry I did not do it sooner. That I could only summon up the courage to do it as you were leaving. Well, I liked it, just so you know. I wish you had done it sooner too. Well, I am glad you don't hate me for it at least. I know that it is late, so give me a call this weekend so I can get my lecture. Fine, you escape this time Izuku, but not next time. Izuku felt so alive. He was stronger and faster. As he was off in his run, he just was bouncing with energy. He raced off into the city. He was not even tired or he arrived at his favorite cafe. The hostess of fertility. He stepped in waiting to be greeted, and take his seat. The food here was good. Ignore the fact that it was staffed by extremely, and I mean extremely cute catgirls. That had nothing to do with his love of the place. Yes, it was just the food. He was enjoying his food as his phone rang with an unknown number. He ignored it. It rang again. He ignored it. On the third time he answered. Hello? Hello, is this Izuku Midoriya? Yes, whom do I have the pleasure of speaking with? Yes, this is Eraserhead. I wanted to meet with you to talk to you more about the incident a few weeks ago. Yes sir, that would be fine. When would you like to do so? I am free right now. Where are you? I am at the hostess of fertility right now. I know where it is. I will be there in 20 minutes. I will see you then. The line went dead. He was enjoying a lovely piece of Dutch apple pie with rich vanilla ice cream when what looked like a homeless man on the verge of collapse came walking in. Izuku immediately recognized him from the hospital. He was the hostess approach and there was a brief exchange before he pointed to Izuku and walked over to join him. Eraserhead. Izuku stood up and offered his hand. Mr. Midoriya. He took the boy's hand, giving him a firm handshake before taking a seat opposite. You can call me Aizawa since I am not on duty at the moment. What can I do for you, Mr. Aizawa? I wanted to go over some things from your fight. I wanted to have you walk me through it from the beginning till the point you lost consciousness. Izuku replayed the fight for the hero, going all the details he could and what happened from his perspective. If I may ask, sir, how the girls are? They are doing as well as can be expected. The little one Eri talks about you a lot. Haruhime helps to keep her calm. They're staying at UA for their safety for now. That's good. I am glad I was able to save them. So tell me about what kind of training you have. Izuku went over his personal training as well as the training he had received for a few years with Momo, but with her recent departure he was back to training on his own. He was receiving good marks in school, near the top of his class most of the times behind Momo, but now he was expecting to take the top spot. I notice you don't seem to have any lingering effects from the battle. Is that a result of your quirk? I pulled your registration file and I must say your quirk is rather unique. Could you explain it better? Of course, sir. Yes, I always heal quickly. As far as explaining my quirk, it is somewhat difficult. So I guess I should start with Divine Blessing or Divine Grace. It increases my physical capabilities, making me stronger, faster, more durable, as well as speeding up my healing. Then there seems to be a subset of abilities that come with it. Rabbit Step increases my speed and allows me to do a short-range teleportation. Lieris Freeze, honestly, we are not quite sure. Argonaut. Again, never manifested, so I have no idea what it does. Firebolt is a type of fire attack. Ox Slayer just recently seems to have come up, so we are not too sure, but it seems to have something to do with the fact I seem to have a problem with people who have bull mutation. Luck. No idea, I just showed up after the fight. So how do these new abilities show up? Well, from what my grandma Hess told me is that I have a very old quirk that runs in our family and I need my mom to do what we call recordings. What is a recording? Izuku blushed for a moment. Well, my grandma explained that my accomplishments are ingrained upon my soul and in order for them to properly applied they have to be recorded, and that is where my mom comes in. She puts a drop of blood on my back and says a strange chant and then bam. If I have done something I feel stronger. I will work without her, but according again to my grandma she says my growth will be a lot slower. Why on your back? That is where my record is displayed. I have a rather large tattoo on my back that showed up when my quirk manifested. I had saved a childhood friend from being hit by a truck. I know when something is ready to unlock by heat the forms on my back. Recently when the new abilities showed up the words LVL2 appeared next to Divine Blessing. To which I have no idea what that means, but I feel great, stronger, and faster. I hate to say it's almost like I leveled up. Do you know what caused it? I believe it was the fight with Overhaul and his minion. Let me be honest with you, you have piqued my interest. If you don't mind, I would like to train you for UA. You seem to have some foolish tendencies, but you have the right motivation. In the fight with Overhaul you were focused on giving the ladies a chance to escape, not on securing victory. You seemed able to adapt to the situation and tried your best to overcome it. I would be honored. Of course, I would have to clear it with my mom and I can't let it affect my grades. That would be without saying part of your training will be me also tutoring you, as I am the homeroom teacher for 1A at UA. Message me at the number I called you from after you discuss this with your mother and we will schedule a session to gauge where you are and where I think you need to get to for the entrance exams. 4 days later, Izuku found himself standing in an empty warehouse in a round ring across from Mr. Aizawa. Okay. The point of this exercise is going to be simple 1v1 match. Winner will be determined by ring out, tap out or opponent unable to continue. No permutant damage. You can use that dull knife of yours and I will use my capture scarf. Any questions? No sir. Then let us begin. Izuku drew his knife and rushed across the ring. Aizawa knew this would be the case. He erased the boy's quirk to see what his reaction would be. What he was not expecting was for the kid to disappear in front of his eyes and to suddenly be eating a hard knee to his face that sent him flying back. He rolled and stopped himself as he came to the edge of the ring. What I erased his quirk? Years of training kicked in and he sent the capture weapon out. This was his second surprise. The kid was stupid fast. Izuku brought up his dagger using the edge, deflected the scarf to the side as he closed the distance. Then he cut the scarf clean through as he spun in with a follow-through backhand. Aizawa quickly threw off the shock and grabbed the kid by his arm after ducking under attack and toss him in the air over out of the ring. Izuku oriented himself. Aizawa activated his erasure, but again the kid disappeared and landed in the ring. Aizawa closed the distance immediately. What followed was a flurry of punches, kicks, and counters. This kid is fast, rough but damn good. Aizawa had disarmed Izuku and driven him to his knees. Firebolt came springing forth, throwing Aizawa off balance. Izuku speared his instructor in the chest, taking the man to the ground. It was his undoing. Aizawa was an expert in CQC. Again the student impressed him with his technique and flurry of strikes he was able to fire off while attempting to get his teacher in a submission. Aizawa baited Izuku into such an attempt before he was able to take the boy's back and lock in a choke. Izuku fired of a few more firebolts, trying to hit his teacher to get the hold released, but to no avail. Izuku tapped. They both laid there breathing hard. Jesus, this kid is good. How did he cut a titanium fiber top-tier capture weapon with a dull knife, and why could I not erase his quirk? Good job, kid. Damn good job. I underestimated you and you very nearly had me. I just have more experience and training than you do. Thank you, sir, Izuku said through heavy breaths. Let me see your knife again. Izuku retrieved the blade from where it had fallen and handed it over to his teacher as the teacher ran it across the scarf to no effect. Here, you try. He tossed the knife and scarf to Izuku. As soon as Izuku snatched the knife, Aizawa saw strange lettering and the blade glow white, and Izuku cut through the scarf like it was nothing. What the hell is going on here? Let me be honest, Izuku, you are in a great place. I think you need some strength training to get stronger, not a muscle brute but to complement your incredible speed. I want you to talk to your mother. I would like you to come to UA for the weekend. There are some things I want to go over with you there and the ladies would like to see you. Thank you, sir. I am sure my mom will be okay with it. I will message you. If that is all then? Yes, for today I look forward to it. Do some cool down and you're free to head out. Good thing I have a backup scarf, but I am not looking to having to replace this one. UA Izuku walked from the station to the gates of the prestigious university. He stood there for a moment taking everything in before he heard two distinctly female voices calling him. He saw Eri and Haruhime running towards him with Aizawa behind them, and well as President Mike and Midnight. Izuku managed to get his muttering under control. See so many pro heroes before they got to close. Mostly because Eri just barreled into him. It is you, it's really you. Thank you so much, Argonaut. Argonaut. I am so sorry about that, Master Midoriya. A slightly winded Kitsune. I read her a story and... Oh, the story of the Argonaut. I love that story. He looked the girl. You can call me Izuku, that is my real name. Okay Izuku, thank you for saving us. The little girl said, clinging to him. As she climbed up him like a jungle gym, Izuku took her into his arms. It was my pleasure, Eri. She looked at him in surprise. How do you know my name? How could I not know the name of the prettiest girl in all the land, and her fair companion, the lovely Haruhime? After all, I am the Argonaut. The little girl turned to the Haruhime. Haru, he knows us. Haru was blushing, something furious. Rather smooth there, young man. Midnight purred as she approached. Thank you, Miss Midnight, but I don't know what you are talking about, he managed as he began to blush. Oh Shota. I like this one. Midnight cooed. Calm down Nomori, please, you can join us. Mr. Midoriya, please follow us. Izuku followed after the heroes, all the while holding Eri and talking with her and the blushing Haruhime. He was asking how they were being treated and couldn't help but marvel at the love of apples that Eri was gushing about. It then broke his heart as he found out that Eri didn't even know what an apple was till she got to UA. Eri was so full of joy just holding onto Izuku and just babbling at him about all the thoughts that were popping into her head. Haru and Nomori were fighting back tears as they saw the pure joy on Eri's face. It was the first time they saw the little girl's smile. Izuku answered all her questions, never missing a beat. Just smiling back at the little girl. And then Mina with the pretty pink skin said we were horn buddies, and Eiji said was super manly. I don't know what that meant, but I was funny how he said it. The Midnight said you were coming and I was so excited. I really wanted to see you again because you saved me and Haru just like the stories she would tell me, and you. The little girl eyes started to water, not out of sadness, are my hero. You save us, you save us. Eri just buried her face in his shoulder, crying, repeating the last line. Izuku and the group stopped walking. Izuku just held her close. I will always save you, Eri, you and Haruhime. All you have to do is call me and I will be there. No matter what or who, I promise I will save you. Eri cries slowed. She looked to his face. Promise? I swear. Eri just rested her head against his shoulder, not saying anything as they walked. Haruhime simply slipped her hand into his as he looked over to her. Thank you, Master Midoriya. Thank you for everything. Haruhime, please just call me Izuku. He blushed. The master thing is a little much. Okay. Izuku. The group continued into depths of UA. They broke apart reluctantly on Eri's part as they approached Gym Zeta, but after Midnight promised they could watch Izuku train and then have lunch with him, the girl released her death grip. Izuku followed President Mike and Aizawa into the gym where he saw Cementos and a small rat, dog creature. Mr. Midoriya, this is Cementos. He will be helping us out today as well, and this is the principal of UA Nezu, Aizawa said. Pleased to meet you both, he responded with a bow, trying to calm his nerves. But, Mr. Aizawa, why are we here? Is something wrong? No, Mr. Midoriya, and yes. First, the girls really wanted to see you, as you can tell by their reactions. Second, there are some things from our first training that are bothering me, and I wanted to get some assistance from my colleagues. I cannot erase your quirks. I tried when we began our session, and it did nothing. The scarf you cut was a titanium alloy weave. It should not have been able to be destroyed in such a manner. That blade seems to react only in your hands very much differently than any I have ever seen. After Mr. Aizawa shared his discoveries with me as well as how relayed your quirk, I wanted to come here and meet you myself, as this is most interesting. The little creature said, adjusting his vest as he walked over. As Mr. Aizawa already said, I am Nezu, the principal of UA. Would you mind showing us your back? Izuku did as he was asked, stripping off his shirt before turning and kneeling. Nezu could get a better look. Midnight entered at that moment. Oh, it's that kind of party, she teased. Izuku blushed as she walked over with the faculty to look at the markings. The top of the tattoo was bell wrapped in flames. Then the strange lettering and what appeared to be numbers were underneath in columns. Izuku shuddered when he felt the soft paws touch his back, tracing lines under the lettering. Interesting. I am unfamiliar with the language, or what these numbers mean. Do any of you recognize this? A chorus of no's or nope came from the men, but Midnight leaned closer. Izuku could feel her warm breath on his back. An intoxicating aroma filled his nose. He had never been so thankful to have his back turned to the group in his life, as he felt as if his face was on fire and there was stirrings of life from other parts of his body. When her nail lightly traced a line under a word on his back, he shuddered and let out small "oohhh," much to his shock. Midnight let out a small laugh, as did the rest. Izuku wanted to die right then and there. That I am pretty sure that says Lieris freeze, it means fast growth, she spoke. Are you sure, Nomori? And how do you know that? Nezu asked. I have an aunt, or she may have been a great aunt, and she had it engraved on metal shield. I asked her about it and she told me what it meant. She said that it was from a very long time ago and that if I ever saw it again it would mean something very important, but she never said more than that. I just remember seeing it whenever I visited her. She would speak sometime as this strange language to no one in particular. My mom always said she was kind of out there but that she was harmless. Is there any way for you to get a hold of this aunt? Aizawa asked. I can try. She left on a trip about 10 or so years ago. We get postcards every once in a while, but I can see if I can get a hold of her. Very interesting. And does your mother read this strange language, Mr. Midoriya? Yes, she does. She never told me what Lieris freeze meant though. My many times great-grandma spoke it. She passed away when I was 6. Does your father speak it? No sir, he died before I was born. He was the pro hero Taish. Ah, yes, the luck hero. I am sorry for your loss. What was your grandmother's name? I called her Grandma Hess, but I think that her name was Hestia. She asked me to call her that before she died. He hadn't thought about that day very much, but whenever he did he felt something deep inside, an immense sense of loss. He wiped a tear once again, his back was to them. He reached behind him and placed his hand on the handle of the dagger. It always seemed to make him feel better. Nezu watched as he did this, as the blade was strapped in holster at his waist. Is something wrong, Mr. Midoriya? No, I am sorry. Whenever I think about it still hurts, but I just touch my dagger and for some reason I feel better. It is a family heirloom. It was given to me after she passed. My mom called it the Hestia knife. May I see the blade, Mr. Midoriya? Izuku stood and turned around, handing over the blade. Nezu tested the blade, finding it dull. He looked to Aizawa, who nodded. Nezu handed the blade back Izuku and saw the lettering and blade light up. Hold the knife towards me, Mr. Midoriya. Izuku did as he was told and watched the principal run his paw lightly over the edge and shave of some of his fur. Now that is one of the most peculiar things I have ever seen. It seems the blade, come to life, only in your hands. How durable is it? It requires minimal maintenance. I have never nicked it or anything. I am also able to charge my firebolt into my blade for an attack I call Argo Vestia. Nezu nodded, turning to Cementos. He gave a nod and cement wall was erected, if you wouldn't mind. Izuku simply walked towards the wall, taking a few measured steps back. He did not notice that Mr. Aizawa had activated his quirk. Izuku instead took a few deep breaths. Firebolt. Firebolt. They all saw the blade coat in flames with each charge. He leapt forward. Argo Vestia. He roared as he struck the wall. When the blade made contact, the wall exploded. Little did Izuku know that a little girl and foxwoman were watching from an observation room. As the smoke cleared, Izuku standing there shirtless before his conquered obstacle. Haru's heart nearly thumped out of her chest. Eri was simply smiling. Haru, did you see that? That was so cool. Yes, Eri, I did. It was very cool. Izuku turned to the gathered teachers. Nezu walked over and looked at the blade still in Izuku's hand. No nicks, not blemishes. It was pristine and still able to shave fur like nothing. Mr. Aizawa, you have certainly outdone yourself. Mr. Midoriya, after your lunch I would like you to take a simple test for me, then we can talk some more. You can put your shirt back now if you wish. Don't worry on my account, Midnight said with a naughty giggle. Izuku immediately covered up. What followed was training with Midnight, President Mike, and Eraserhead. He was to bypass the two men and get to the hostage and escape. It was then that the teachers learned that he could rabbit step with someone. His distance was shortened, but it was possible. After the first victory he only managed to win 2 more times out of these 15 attempts. They praised him for him constantly changing tactics and scolded him for his more reckless attempts. Eraserhead then escorted him to the gym to get started on his workout routine that Aizawa had set up for him. He returned to his friends. Well, what do you guys think? Holy shit, Shota, where did you find this kid? President Mike was first to speak. This little listener has so much potential. His quirk is crazy. His speed is off the charts. That knife and firebolt. Hizashi is correct. Midnight added. Not to mention that he is rather cute. When he gets in, the girls in his year are going to be in deep trouble. Haru is already smitten. But then again he saved her. Eri is just a child. He is in great shape and I agree with you if he adds some more muscle, I worry for anyone he comes against. That is exactly what I was thinking. I want to train him. Maybe even put him in for recommendation. He has the heart and a great skill set. There is something about him, something that draws attention. He also apparently knows Nejire somehow. Is that so? Do we know how? Not yet. I am sure we can talk to him about it over lunch. Izuku enjoyed a great lunch after his workout, talking with Eri and Haru, answering all kinds of questions. Eri was particularly excited to find out he was staying the night at UA, not so much when she found that he was heading home the next day. Midnight got joy after she brought up Nejire, and seeing the boy stutter for a moment explain how he had met Nejire when he was young and how he had impressed him, and he wanted to be strong like she was. He was blushing mess when let slip that he had called her the Wind Fairy. He then had to explain how when he was a kid his grandmother had told him stories when he was growing up and his favorite was The Many Adventures of the Brave Rabbit. That was where he had heard about the Wind Fairy. Eri and even Haru wanted to hear the stories. Midnight did a search on her phone. I don't seem to see it online. I will have to dig deeper. I do not think there are any books except the ones I have. My grandmother wrote them down for me so I could read them. I have them at home but I know most of them by heart. Maybe after dinner tonight, Eri, I can tell you a bedtime story. Would you like that? Yes, please Izuku. You promise? Of course. What Izuku did not expect from his meeting with Nezu was to be sitting taking some sort of exam. When he handed it over, the principal was bouncing with excitement before dismissing him back to Aizawa. His afternoon was nice. No workouts or mock battles, just a lot of talking with Aizawa and Midnight. He felt like he was being interviewed for something. They wanted to know about how he grew up, his home life, his ideals. They would ask him scenario questions, all kinds of things. Midnight would ask him things about romance to make him blush, as Aizawa would then swoop in with morality. Midnight especially got a kick after Izuku told her about what happened with Momo, which turned to Aizawa questioning him on whether a hero should even consider romantic endeavors. That sparked a heated debate between the two, with Midnight being on his side. In the end, Aizawa simply laughed, letting Izuku he was just challenging him to see his passion, and to make sure that Izuku was not some closet pervert. The best part in Izuku's opinion was after dinner, sitting in Eri and Haru's room and telling them the opening story of Brave Rabbit. He thought of his grandmother, and he did his best to imitate her. Doing different voices, moving around, flicking lights, the whole 9 yards. He was so absorbed in the girls with the way they were looking up at him, wide-eyed, almost raptured. He wondered if this was how he looked at his grandmother. As they brought the story to an end, Eri's eyes shone like rubies. Will you tell me more stories about the rabbit? I promise, but only if you are a good girl. I will, I promise. Okay, now good night, Eri, Haru. Good night, Izuku, they said in unison. As he exited the room, he saw Midnight waiting. Is everything all right? Oh, yes, I was just enjoying hearing the joy in Eri's voice. I just want you to know that this is the first time we have seen her really smile. What she has been through is something no child should be, though neither her nor Haruhime. I just wanted to tell you thank you. You really did a great thing when you saved them. Stupid but great, nonetheless. I cannot wait to see you walk these halls, Izuku. Off with you. Aizawa is waiting down the hall, 4th door on the left. Aizawa and Izuku entered the room, seeing Aizawa sitting at a round table with a pot of tea. Izuku, take a seat. I cut right through it. The test Nezu took, it was an advanced placement test. He thinks that you can test out of your high school classes and graduate early. I want you to do that so I can train you. I think you have some of the most potential that I have seen in a long while. I think with some proper training I would even like to submit you for recommendation. I see a lot of kids, some I know that will be good heroes, great even. Some that will not make it out there. But with you I see the potential to even be one of the greatest. I do not even know what to say, sir. I mean, yes, but of course there would be my mom, and then there is the problem of the recordings. Nezu and I would love to sit with your mother and yourself so we can talk to her. So when you get home, talk to her so we can set it up. Even if she won't allow you to graduate early, we are still training anyway, but I really want to focus on this with you. Just reach out when we can do the sit down. I must get going, I have patrol tonight. No rest for the wicked? Exactly, we can never let them rest, they get stupid and overconfident then. Izuku watched as the man left, exiting the little sitting room of his suite, going into his bedroom. Recommendation, huh? That would be awesome, wouldn't it, Grandma Hestia? I am getting closer, I am going to be great just like you said. Watch over me, Grandma. As Izuku drifted off into sleep, he never noticed as the faint glow drifted into the window, spreading around the corners of the room and across that whole building. Everyone that night had the most peaceful sleep that had ever. It was like they were home safe. The sound of faint tinkling of bells accompanied them to sleep. Dinner meeting. Let me understand this, Izuku. You want to test out of school and move to Mustafa, so you can personally train under Eraserhead, so you can take the recommendation entry exam. Inko said as she sat across from her son, rubbing her eyes. Yes. He replied, his voice crisp and clear. How am I supposed to do your recordings if you are so far away? She countered. I figured I would come home once a month at least. I mean, what was the plan once I got into UA? He replied. That was the plan at that point. You are already sprinting to UA, Izuku. I know that was where you were aiming for. I thought we would have more time. She said, a hint of sadness in her voice. I am sorry, Mom. I know how hard you have worked for me. If you want me to stay, I will. Eraserhead has already agreed to train me, it will just be more infrequent. But the principal and him would like to have a meeting with you to at least talk it out. Izuku said. He hated causing her any pain, but this was an important opportunity that he had to at least explore. Fine, I will hear them out. Tell them they can come to our home next Friday for dinner. Inko understood that opportunities like this rarely came along, but it didn't mean she was happy that he would be leaving her that much sooner. Even if I stay here, I would still like to test out so I can focus on my training. With Momo gone, it won't be the same. That I can agree to. Inko said, a coy smile appearing on her face. So, you kissed her, huh? What? How did you know that? He started blushing, looking down at his hands. She told her mom, who told me, of course. Do you like her? Yes, is that okay? I know you are close with her parents. I do not have a problem with it. I adore Momo. Her mother and I had feelings something like this would happen. How do you think you go into that school? You're the best mom in the world. He got up and gave her a kiss on the cheek. You go rest, I will take care of the dishes. Over the next week he informed his school that he was planning to test out. They made arrangements for him to do so. It would be a few weeks. Going to school without Momo was different. He was treated differently from when she was there. The boys seemed to ignore him more, but the girls seemed to come over and talk to him. That was fine with Izuku. He always got along better with girls anyway. Friday night finally came. His mother made sure he was presentable. As she was putting the finishing touches on dinner, the doorbell to the house rang. See to the door, Izuku. Dinner will be served in a moment. Lead them to the dining room. Yes, mother. Izuku walked over and opened the door. To his surprise, Eraserhead was wearing a dress shirt and tie. His hair was nicely combed, freshly shaved, and looking rather awake. Nezu was dressed sharply as always, riding on his shoulder. Eraserhead extended a cake. A gift. Thank you, Mr. Aizawa. Principal Nezu, welcome to our home. I will lead you to the dining room as dinner is about to be served. Izuku said, remembering all the manners Momo had taught him. Izuku led them into the dining room. After he was seated, he entered the kitchen to place the cake down. Mom, they are seated and they brought cake. That's nice, now help me bring the food out, she commanded. The dinner was nice. Polite conversation was had. As dinner concluded, Inko turned to Izuku. Izuku, please clear the table, do the dishes, and then prepare the tea and cake. I wish to talk with our guests. Izuku gulped. He had wanted to be there for the conversation, but apparently he was being banished. Yes, Mom. Mr. Aizawa, Principal Nezu is golden tips suitable for you. Whatever you choose to serve will be just nice, the principal said as the boy disappeared. Inko waited for a moment. So you want to take my boy and train him, Mr. Aizawa? Yes, Ms. Midoriya. The pro hero replied as he straightened in his seat. Inko is fine. She said. Shota. He said, placing his hand lightly to his chest and bowing his head to her. Well, Shota. Why should I allow such a thing? Her voice making perfectly clear how important Izuku was to her. To be perfectly honest, I think your son has a chance to be a once-in-a-lifetime hero. His skills are astounding for one so young. Well, he has had some formal training. I think he can benefit from what I can offer him. I will still train him the best I can if you do not allow him to move to Mustafa. But if he is closer, I can oversee him more and be more hands-on. He has great instincts, though I would like to curve his rush in and figure it out later impulses, Aizawa said. And his education? That will be overseen by me, madam. The principal spoke up. I gave him a little test and he tested rather highly. I was the one that suggested he test out. There was little for him to learn from that academy. I will make sure to continue his education by overseeing it personally. I believe he could possibly pass the written exam now. Wouldn't that be favoritism over the other students? Inko asked. No, there are very few students that are at this point. Ms. Yaoyorozu is another, but I encouraged her to take the opportunity to study abroad. She is not taking high school courses while there. She tested out before she left. I have a few other recommended students that I offer guidance to as well. You are aware of his needs that come with his quirk, correct? You mean his recordings? Aizawa said. Yes, we are aware. How would you propose we handle that, with him being so far away? That is where I come in again. Nezu said. I have a couple of options. 1. I will pay for his transportation fees to come back once a month. 2. I would like you to come work for me at UA. Inko raised an eyebrow, suppressing the look of shock. Why would you want that? I have read your records from the hospital here. You are an impeccable doctor and surgeon. Your director speaks very highly of you. Our head doctor recovery girl has been looking for someone to succeed her as she would like to retire in few years. As I am sure you aware, I do not have a healing quirk. Yes, but your quirk has aided you in work, has it not? You have used it to retrieve bullets, metal fragments and other foreign objects. You have been called in to consult with numerous hero cases. In fact, Best Jeanist still talks about how you were able to extract the bullet from his leg with such precision and care that he is sure you speed up his recovery by months. I talked to some of the other heroes that you have operated on and they all had nothing but praise for you. He tapped Aizawa, who pulled out an envelope. This is my offer. We can provide housing till you find something you like on your own. I will buy out your contract with your current hospital, and we will pay for your moving costs. Inko took the envelope, taking a quick look inside. That is generous. And the fact that I will be near my son while he attends UA is just a side bonus? A nice side bonus. Also, if I am honest, I am very interested if you can teach someone else to do these recordings. I am curious to know if it has to do with bloodline, as your quirk should have nothing to do with this. Teaching someone else would have the added benefit that there would be someone else who could help your son if you are unavailable. I will have to look over your offer and think about this. I would expect nothing less. Izuku, we are ready for tea and cake. Later that night. So Izuku, what do you think? Well, it is kind of a lot to process. I would like to have you closer for the recordings, and the thought of you being near is cool, but what do you want? I know that this is your time to step out and be a hero. Is it wrong that I want to be closer to you for a little longer? After what happened to your father, I know how quickly I can lose you. I understand. I will not make you any dumb promises like I won't get hurt because I already botched that one. But I promise I will do everything I can to come home safe. I want more time with you, and this is big opportunity as well. When Recovery Girl retires, I will be the new head of medical at UA. I will have my lawyer look over the contract, but I am sure they will not be able to find fault. Also, I want to see if I can train someone else also do your recordings. Just in case. Don't say that, Mom. Life can change in an instant, Izuku, we both know that. Only a fool thinks that it will all go according to plan. So if everything is good, I will make arrangements for the move. After you test out, I will send you on ahead while I get the house situated. I will talk to Nezu about you living in the on-campus housing till I get moved down and find a house I want to buy there. Inko let out a sly smile. Who knows, Izuku, maybe with living on campus you will get to see the Wind Fairy again. MMMOMMMM. Inko let out a laugh. Just no grandbabies yet, little rabbit. Inko called Nezu 3 days later to accept his offer. She told him that she would be transferring in 2 months as she had surgeries and patients she wanted to get situated before she moved. The next few weeks for Izuku were a flurry of studying and packing. Momo was extremely excited about his move and mentorship offer. She ended their conversation with telling him if he passed the recommended exam, he could kiss her again. She even took time out of her own schedule to help him study some for his finals. Moving in, it was at the end of the month that Izuku himself moved into his new, temporary housing. They were 2 rows facing each other of 2-story homes with small front and backyards. As he walked to the door, he heard an excited squeal and sound of little footsteps rushing towards him. Izuku, Izuku. He turned to see Eri running towards him with Haruhime in pursuit. He quickly set the box down to catch the high-speed bullet as it barreled into him. Hi Eri. Izuku. Guess what? Guess. What? We live there. She pointed to the house next door. So, I can come see you every day. Oh, is that right? Well, I look forward to see you every day from now on, and you to Haruhime. Haru blushed and gave a smile as she bowed. Yes, I look forward to deepening our friendship. Is there anything I can do to aid you in your move? Izuku laughed. Sure, if you could grab that bag and carry it in for me, that would be helpful. What about me, Izuku? I want to help too, Eri pouted. Izuku thought for a moment. Oh, you can grab my backpack. Soon the three of them were sitting outside on the porch just chatting away. Midnight came walking up carrying a large bucket of chicken and all the sides. Howdy neighbor. I brought you dinner. Oh, Ms. Midnight, thank you so much. Izuku said, taking some of the bags. Please come in, I will have to find plates but. Midnight smiled at the young man. Do not fret Izuku, we have paper plates to make things simple and canned soda, she said. I thought the girls lived in the dorms I stood in when I came to visit. They did, but when I told them that you were moving in next door to me, I finally was able to convince Eri to move in. She looked over at Eri, smiling at the young girl. Oh, so you live next door, senpai? Yes, I maintain a residence here while teaching, so no peeking when I sunbathe, you naughty boy. She teased, as Izuku's face reddened and looked down at his food rather intently, causing Midnight to let out a laugh. Oh, this is going to be fun. Izuku, looking for anything to change the subject, he looked over to Haruhime. The fox girl was blushing for some reason and had a far-off look in her eyes. Haruhime, are you okay? Haru's mind had slipped into her sunbathing out in the backyard as Izuku watched her from the balcony of his home. He was shirtless, drinking a cup of coffee as his eyes wandered all over her body. She could feel his gaze lingering on her, like a hand lightly brushing over her skin. A heat began to build as she imagined him leaping from the balcony and appearing next to her. His intense green eyes looking down on her. No words were spoken as he placed his on her waist, slowly tracing it up her side. Haruhime, are you okay? She let forth a little yelp. Yes Izuku, I am good. Just thinking, that is all. Oh okay. Midnight looked over at Haru. I wonder what little thought was dancing in her head. The next morning Izuku was up bright and early as he met with Aizawa as he returned from patrol. He was stretching in the front yard as he walked up. Alright Izuku, I have your exercise plan. Ready? You are going to go on a 5-mile run, then meet me at the gym where I will walk you through your workout. After that you will report to Nezu. At the end of the day you will meet me in Gym Zeta for combat training. Your rest day is Sunday, half day Saturday. Any questions? No sensei. Good, now go. No rabbit steps. Yes sensei, and off he ran. He connected his headphones and took off. It was amazing how large the campus was. According to his senpai, on circuit around the edge would be sufficient. As he came around the pathway near the dorms, he could see some students already heading towards class. He noticed so many different quirks he almost paused when he saw this girl emerge from one of the Year 3 dorms. She was easily 18 feet tall. Her skin had this translucent shimmer that glistened like a rainbow on her skin as the sun hit it. Long technicolor hair, it was stunning. He shook his head and continued his run. He made a mental note to sketch her later. He managed to regain focus as he thought about her quirk. If it was the enormous size or if the skin and hair color was indicant of more. He was so focused that he barely didn't notice someone in front of him. Quickly he rabbit-stepped, appearing past them. I am so sorry, I zoned out and... Well, hello there, dump truck kid. What are you doing here? Are you here trying to see the wind fairy? Oh, did you sneak onto campus just to see me? Are you in love with me? Do you think I am cute? You're kind of cute. I like your white hair. Wait, how did you get past the barrier? Did you just use your quirk to avoid bumping into me? Why is your face red? That seems to happen to you a lot. Are you okay? It was her, it was the wind fairy. She was there in front of him, dressed in a UA uniform, bouncing right over to him, all parts of her bouncing. She was so very close, it took an activewill to not just blue screen. This scent of a spring rain filled his nostrils, and was those roses? Without thinking he took in a deep breath. It was intoxicating. Hi, he squeaked. I live on campus ATM. I was hoping I would see you again. I do not know about love, but you are very cute. Yes, I did use my quirk to not bump into you. I didn't know my face was red. A lie, and I am fine. She smiled and he almost broke again. Oh, so you think I'm cute? Wait, you said that in the hospital. Why do you live here now? Are part of the at-risk class. They have their own dorms, but those are way over there. What is your quirk? Can you like teleport through anything? You are not going to use that to teleport into the girls' shower, are you? Are you that kind of boy? Hey, is your name Dump Truck Kid or did I make that up? Why do you call me the Wind Fairy? I like that name though. Mirio and Tamaki laughed. Yu says it fits because I am an airhead. But why would my head be full of air? So, what do you think? My mom is going to be working here under Recovery Girl, and I am training for the recommended exam. I didn't know there was an at-risk class. My quirk is Divine Blessing and I used Rabbit Step to not bump into yet. I can teleport through a wall, but if I don't know what's on the other side it can really injure me or may even kill me. That was a very painful experience. I would never peep in the girls' shower, that would just be wrong. I am not that kind of boy. You made up that name for me. My name is Izuku Midoriya. My grandma would tell me stories as a kid, and when I first saw you in the park you reminded me of a character because of your wind power. Wait, is it even really wind? Do you have a wind power? Are Mirio, Tamaki and Yu your friends? I do not think that airhead means what you were thinking. What is your name? I can just keep calling you the Wind Fairy. You answered all my questions. Wow, no one does that. What is Divine Blessing and Rabbit Step? Do you have two quirks? Good, I didn't think you were that kind of boy. But there was this boy Randall and I thought he was nice, but he got expelled for sneaking into girls' rooms and stealing their underwear. I didn't notice, I just thought I lost them. I don't have a wind power. My quirk is wave motion. I can use it to do all sorts of stuff, but it uses my energy up. Yu says that is why I am high maintenance. I am not sure what that means. Yes, they are my friends. What does airhead mean? Oh sorry, my name is Nejire Hato. Oh my god, there are two of them. A girl with short red hair said, walking up with a taller muscular boy with blonde hair and big smile, and boy with indigo hair and eyes that looked like he would rather the earth swallow him alive than be here. Oh, Izuku, this is Yu. Nejire exclaimed as she bounded over and hugged the girl, causing her to flush slightly. And this is Mirio and this is Tamaki, he is super friendly. Izuku turned and bowed. Morning senpais. Oh, is this Dump Truck Kid? Mirio asked. He noticed Izuku wince. Sorry. Izuku, is it? That is just what Nejire called you. Izuku, right? Pleased to meet you. He stuck out his hand. Izuku shook his hand. Izuku Midoriya. Yay, this is him, Mirio. He has two quirks, and she was about to continue when Yu bopped her on the head. Nejire turned to her friend with a look of betrayal and the cutest pout. Izuku's opinion. Yu, why did you that it hurt? Tears formed in the corner of her eyes. Yu pulled her into a hug and patted Nejire's head like you would a child. There, Nejire. I had to get your attention, we are going to be late. If we do not get to class you are going to get detention again. Right, I don't want that. See you later, Izuku. She was immediately bubbly again as she grabbed Yu by the hand and raced off. Izuku almost got whiplash from the sudden change, as the boys followed after the girls. Izuku shook his head, noticed the time before taking off to finish his run. Aizawa criticized him before directing him in the exercises he wanted him to do before leaving to go teach his class. After his workout he returned home and showered before heading off to find Nezu. Nezu welcomed him with a smile before handing over a packet. The at-risk class, or the ARC. Now Mr. Midoriya, we are going to have you join our at-risk class. They each have individualized courses packets with rotating teachers to aid in different subjects. Each member of the class has come from rather unique circumstances. It is where we have Haruhime and Eri attending classes. I am sure they will be happy to see you. Can I ask about the at-risk? There is not much I can divulge to you, Mr. Midoriya, but not everyone is born with equal and quirk prejudice far and wide. Children with undesirable quirks face many challenges from the ignorant masses. I myself am an individual that comes from unique circumstances as well. It is believed that I am the first animal to develop a quirk that is not true. There were others who meet gruesome fates in labs and other abominations. These are students that have faced prejudice and mistreatment for things they have had no control over. Instead of abandoning them to the streets and more than likely a life of crime, I have brought them in to give them better chance. A place where they can learn to control their quirks and urges that come with some of them. Through patience and understanding we hope to help them to a brighter future. It is not all sunshine and roses. Sometimes no matter what we do we can never reach them, but I believe that everyone deserves a chance to feel safe. I agree. He led him to a separate building before stopping in front of the class. Your packets due at the end of the week. Quizzes will be every second week with tests at the end of the month. Yes, sir. Nezu smiled and walked away, as Izuku took a deep breath and entered the class. President Mike was standing there. Well, come on in and introduce yourself to the class, lil listener, then you can find a seat. We are doing English at the moment. Izuku took his place at the front of the class. He noticed Eri bouncing her seat and Haruhime had a smile as she looked down at her packet, glancing back up at him through her long eyelashes. Hello everyone, my name is Izuku Midoriya, and I will be in your care. Nice and to the point. Why don't you take a seat by Haruhime and we can continue with the lesson. Izuku took his seat and opened his packet for English. It was rather unique lesson. He noticed while President Mike was giving broad overviews on some stuff, he would then add specific portions that seemed to be for individual students. Izuku found it rather remarkable. He was teaching 7 different lessons at one time. After English it was math, followed by science. It all followed the same pattern. Science class seemed to wrap up early before the teacher told the class that they could enjoy some free time before lunch. As soon as that was said, Eri sprang from her seat and ran to him, hugging him. Are you in our class now? Yes, until the recommendation exam. Yay, we get to eat lunch every day for now. That sound like fun. I normally make Eri and mine's lunch. I would be happy to make yours, Izuku, if you like, Haruhime said. I wouldn't want to cause you any more work, Haruhime. It wouldn't be much more work. I just cook a little extra, please. I would be my pleasure to repay you just a little bit for what you did. And what did he do, Haru? A blonde girl came over, placing her arm around Haru. She was slender with her hair done up into 2 messy buns on the side of her head. She had golden yellow eyes that reminded him of cat eyes. Himiko. Haru whined. Ah, Haru, don't be like that, Himiko cooed as she reached out and stroked Haru's tail. A tall girl with Mediterranean skin, black hair and purple eyes walked over and lifted Himiko off of Haru by her Himiko's uniform. Toga, what did we talk about? Don't pet the fox without permission. But Aisha, she is so cute, I just want to gobble her all up. No buts, Toga. She turned and looked towards Izuku. Hi, I'm Aisha. This little troublemaker is Toga. Toga gave a wave. She pointed to a hulking boy in the back. That's Bob. Bob was a beast of man, 8 feet tall and about 6 feet wide. His entire body was gray and crazy muscled. He had a gentle and serene look on his face. She then pointed to another girl with blue hair and light green eyes. That's Cassandra. The girl squeaked and ducked down behind her book. The twins in the back are Reijin and Fujin. She pointed to 2 boys that seemed to be arguing about something. The both had single black horns rising from their foreheads. Reijin had black hair with yellow tips and was slimmer of the 2. He had jagged scars running down his arms that looked like electrical burns. Fujin was broader with blue tips instead of yellow. His hair was wild and unkempt. Pleased to meet you. Izuku smiled. Izuku Midoriya, pleased to meet you, Aisha. Over the weeks Izuku had settled into a nice routine. He would exercise in the morning, go to class, enjoy the lunch that Haruhime made him every day despite his protests, then go to combat training in the afternoon. Eri would leave at the class after lunch to go to daycare so she could be with other kids her age. He eventually was incorporated in training with his classmates. He sat watching a spar between the twins, jotting notes in his notebook. Himiko Toga quirk. Transformation. After ingesting blood, she was able to transform into that person, gaining their physical characteristics but not their quirk. Himiko is wild and loves to tease. She needs blood regularly to avoid starvation. Going without can cause her to enter an almost psychotic state. Apparently, her parents starved her of blood, causing this, and she ended up in trouble with the police after she assaulted another student in elementary school. With daily blood intake, she has been able to keep herself under control. She is extremely skilled with knives and has been a great helping me improve in that area. She is amazingly quick and very adept at stealth. I need to ask her to help me in that area as well. Aisha Belka quirk. Hellkaios Aisha is able to generate a shockwave attack that cuts through the air or ground. It seems to be some sort of kinetic energy that she builds up and releases in combat. She seems to able to make it more concentrated so it cuts like a blade when it hits something, or she can make it explode when it does. Aisha is a strong fighter who specializes in close-range combat. She is quick and very strong. It is possible that the energy she stores increases this. Aisha found Toga on the streets and helped her out. They do not talk about it much. Cassandra Leon quirk. Soul Light Cassandra can heal and restore someone's stamina from a distance or by touch. This is also reversible. She doesn't use this part of her quirk, preferring to stay in the back and heal. She has a staff that she uses to focus her power and defend herself. Second quirk, Foresight. Cassandra talks about things she dreams about. They are vague and hard to understand. No one seems to take them seriously, but I had lost the action figure that Ochako gave me, and after talking about it in class the next morning, Cassandra told me about her dream the following day. That 13 was drifting in void of darkness, hindered from sight by clothing of the sea. I found it under my bed behind my swim trunks. She seemed very happy that I believed her and listened. Cassandra is very shy and timid, but a great healer in combat and very situationally aware. She wants to try and join the hero course next year. Her quirk awakened when she was very young and she hurt people. This of course scared her greatly when it happened. It was thought that all she could do was hurt people. It wasn't until her friend was hurt in a serious accident that it was found that she could actually heal people. She is at UA to train under Recovery Girl for the recommended exam as well. Robert. Bob. Fix quirk. Rage. The more angry Bob gets, the stronger Bob gets. The stronger Bob is, the harder it is to hurt him. Bob is terrifying once he gets going, but unfortunately or fortunately he is super gentle and doesn't like to fight. A mistake that people assume is that Bob is not intelligent or that he is slow. He appears to be of above average intelligence, but he excels in science and biology. He loves animals. He is extremely gentle but seems to experience pain to a higher degree than others. This is what normally starts the fight. Once he enters battle, though, he seems to have a singular focus on his opponent or opponents. He attacks in a straightforward manner. They can stop him when either his opponent is unconscious or when they play a recording from his mother. He has a very strong protective instinct, especially it seems when it comes to Eri. Raijin quirk. Lightning. Raijin can fire lightning from his hand and even seems to able form it into shields. His emotions influence the level of power he puts out. If he gets too angry, he loses control. Apparently this was triggered in an extreme fashion when his father was attacked and killed by a biker gang while they were on a family trip and had broken down on the side of the road. Raijin is very quick to anger and responds harshly to most situations. The exception seems to be Eri. His patience with her is surprising. He fights with his twin all the time. They never seem to agree on anything. Spicy curry versus mild. Whatever show they just watched. One likes it, the other is that it was terrible. It is not a question of if they love each other, just that they really can't agree on anything. Fujin quirk. Divine Wind. Fujin can channel and create powerful wind attacks. It seems that he can even summon hurricane force winds if angered enough. See Raijin's entry on how that was found out. Fujin is calm and takes a lot to get annoyed. I have never seen him angry, but once he gets going, well, he is a force. He seems to love fighting with Raijin. Haruhime quirk. Top secret. Haru has such an amazing quirk, but I can't write about it here. She is learning how to physically defend herself and has started joining me on my runs some days. She is the only other person I know that knows the story of the Argonaut. She is very gentle and kind, and seems to like taking care of people. My mom likes her well. She reminds me of Sanjo. Eri quirk. Top secret 2 CND quirk. Unicorn. Third quirk. Cuteness overload. Fourth quirk. Second apple stomach. This quirk has been witnessed, though Mom and Recovery Girl deny this. I have seen her after a full meal eat 3 candy apples. More research is needed. Note. I have been ground for 2 weeks for sneaking Eri candy apples. It was worth it. Himiko and Aisha have taken up my cause. The second chance class have all sworn blood oaths to protect Eri. Izuku versus the twins. Izuku was breathing heavily, his workout clothes were tattered, and he had a nice cut on his side. His opponents, on the other hand, were doing much better. Fujin and Raijin were slightly worse for wear, but most of the damage had come during the first part of the battle. Izuku had tried to take them down fast to prevent what he was now facing. Fujin had a bloodied arm, Raijin a bruise on his cheek, but not much other damage was noticeable. They were standing together, a shield of wind and lightning surrounded them, it was intense. The shield had made Firebolt completely ineffective, it simply dissipated before touching them. Getting inside the shield was just as difficult, there was little room between them and it. His last charge had resulted in him being knocked into the shield and then back out of it. He might be able to bust in with Argo Vesta, but that would leave him at the mercy of one of the brothers. Dodging the wind was damn near impossible, but even if he did break in and take down Fujin, Raijin was going to decimate him before he could make any progress. He could not win. "I yield," he said as he fell to his butt, feeling slightly dejected. He had lost again. Yes, it was 2-on-1, but even in the 1-on-1s he was 50-50 against most of the class. Well, unless you counted Cassandra and Haruhime, but that was not even fair. Fighting one of the brothers was a task and half. Toga's skill with a knife was far better than his. Aisha was just a terror. The longer the battle went, the more she was able to dish out. 2-on-1, forget about it. Toga's speed was easily a match for him at most times, and the Aisha was damn fast and strong on top of that. He was not going to even talk about Bob, which was just terrifying. Not only did Bob get stronger and tougher in a fight, he also healed faster. Bob had beaten all 5 of them. Luckily, the exercise was only to try and keep him from getting across the field to candy apples that he got to give to Eri if he won. It had been a massacre. Match. Fujin and Raijin win. "Cassandra, please heal them," Aizawa commanded. "Yes, SS. Sir." Cassandra ran into the ring and healed the brothers first before turning to heal Izuku. Her face was red. Izuku was lacking in the clothes department. As Izuku realized his state, he began to blush also, which elicited laughs from Toga and Aisha. "Oh, dang Izuku, I didn't know you were all tatted up, you bad boy," Toga said. Aisha whistled at him. Cassandra did not say anything, she just blushed and looked away. "Come here, Izuku," Aizawa ordered. "Report." Izuku walked over and sighed. "My inability to take one or both of them down quickly on the first attack led to them advancing past a place I could win the exercise." "At what point was that?" "When Fujin got his shield stable. And you continued to commit to 8 more attacks before you yielded." "I had to keep trying." "Are you saying that I should have stopped immediately?" "No, but after your follow-up attack you continued 7 more times. The problem is that you recognized the problem but continued to bash your head against it. If this had been a real battle, the twins would have killed you and then your mother would have killed me." Izuku just looked down. "Look, Izuku, you have a heroic spirit and have an ardent desire to help, but you need to recognize when the situation requires you to withdraw and seek help. If this was a true villain situation, what should you do? Immediately report the need for backup while engaging the villains. Once I realized the situation was one I could not win on my own, I should have pulled back and waited for backup while doing my best to keep the villains from fleeing. Continue. If civilian lives were in danger, I need to prioritize their safety even if that means letting the villains escape." Izuku sighed. "I am just tired of losing." "It is understandable, Izuku. The at-risk class has training and practical experience. You learn fast, keep up with your training. I am still positive that you can be great, you just need experience. Do not lose heart. Now hit the showers and head home." Izuku was lost in his thoughts as he made his way home, till he felt a finger poke him in the forehead. He jumped back, startled, much to the delight of Nejire. "Hey Izuku. Are you okay? You look down. Is something wrong? Did you not eat lunch? I missed lunch and now I am super hungry, but I have to wait for Yu before I eat. She has student council duties, but she hid all my snacks. Wait, do you have any snacks?" "Oh, hey Nejire, you startled me. I am all right, just have hit a block in training. I did in fact eat lunch and yes, I do have a snack." Izuku reached into his bag and pulled out a candy bar and a nutrition bar. "Which would you like?" "Oh, the candy bar. What kind is that? I have never heard of a fat boy before. Is it good?" Nejire, prepare for the greatest thing ever. "Oh, probably no one has ever heard of them, they are from England. I have a friend taking some classes at Cambridge University and she met the guy who makes them. She sent me several cases. I don't know if this is the greatest thing ever, but thank you." She looked at the bright red wrapper and slowly opened it. She could smell the chocolate and some sort of nut. She took a bite and the flavor exploded in her mouth. Izuku had not lied to her. She ravenously ate the whole thing. OMG, that was amazing. Can I have another? I don't have any more with me, but if you walk with me back to my housing, I can give you a few more if you like. Yes, let's go. Nejire grabbed his hand, eliciting an eep from Izuku, and dragged him off down the walkway. In the wrong way. After he corrected her, they were off in the correct direction. They even managed to reach their destination. She waited outside, bouncing in excitement of getting more fat boys. She was smiling ear to ear when he came out with a bag containing the candy. Oh, thank you, Izuku. Hey, if you want, I can help you with your training. Really? You would do that for me? Yay, we could meet up early and do it before I have to go to class. It will help me build up my endurance, and besides, I cannot abandon you now. If I leave you alone for too long, you are going to get attacked by a group of bull people. Izuku smiled and blushed. Thank you, Nejire. Can we start tomorrow? Okay. Her phone buzzed. Yu is done. I have to go. Meet me at the East Forest at 4 a.m. tomorrow. Izuku received a text from an unknown number. If you ever give Nejire Hado candy again, I will make sure they never find your body. Izuku typed his response carefully. I understand. I shall not make that error again. The next morning, Izuku had to admit that he was surprised to see Nejire arrive at exactly 4 a.m. Little did he know that she hadn't gone to sleep at all due to her sugar rush. Good morning, Nejire. Thank you for training with me. Not a problem, Izuku. I can use the extra work before the sports festival. Now you are going to attack me and try not to get hit. The goal is for you to tag me anywhere on my body. No teleporting or fire blasts. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. She floated up and back to the edge of the trees. No, come get me, Izu. He raced after her as she flew back into the trees. Izuku found something especially important things out that morning. Nejire Hado is extremely fast, strong, and for some reason really enjoyed knocking him out when he got close. He woke up several times lying on the forest floor. Also, she was a particularly good teacher despite her normal excitable state. When they were training, she was focused and calm. Once he got used to her pattern, she would alter it slightly, forcing him to adapt. The Wind Fairy was not to be trifled with. After chasing her for 2 hours and never catching her, she called the practice as she had to get ready for class. A class the Nejire never made to a sugar crash. Izuku lay panting on the forest floor, a smile spreading across his face. He had just literally spent the last 2 hours chasing the Wind Fairy. He wanted to catch up, he wanted to catch her, ever since he was young, and here he was chasing her for real. Izuku continued to train with Nejire for 3 weeks before the sports festival. Soon they were joined by Yu, whose quirk deprivation, which robbed a target of some or if not all of their senses, was added to the training. Yu needed to maintain a line of sight to take away a target's senses. Tamaki came in during last week. His quirk manifest had Izuku reeling. The last day she let him use all his abilities. On the final try he tagged her leg. Izuku could have sworn he had won the lottery. The feeling was more electric. Nejire and even Yu giggled at how he jumped around and even hugged Tamaki. That made the girls burst out laughing, and Tamaki wanted to disappear. Sorry about that, Tamaki. Thank you so much, Nejire and Yu. I really appreciate you 3 taking the time to help with this training. It was our pleasure, Izuku, Yu said. Make sure you root for us at the festival. Of course. But you will root for me the most, right, Izuku? Nejire said as she floated close to his face. Izuku blushed and looked down before he responded. Of course, Nejire. Nejire giggled and pulled him into a hug, which caused the poor boy to blue screen. That's for finally tagging me. See you around. The trio left, with Izuku slowly coming online soon thereafter. Training Izuku was faring better in training with his dodging and speed. He still had not been able to beat the twins, but he was doing much better with Aisha and Himiko. His knife skills were also vastly improving between Himiko and Aizawa. Then his mother came to live at UA until she found a house for them. After she did his recording, to say his improvement was dramatic would be an understatement. Did you mother perform a recording last night? Aizawa said. Yes, it was like the second thing we did after hugging for like 10 minutes, Izuku said with a smile. I have never been apart from her for that long. It was more difficult than I thought. We were apart when I was very little, but I had my grandma with me, so I didn't notice it as much. That is to be expected. You are young, But it is important that we find someone else that can do these recordings. The difference from her doing this and yesterday is simply put incredible. There may be times that you will not be in the same part of the country as her, and it could be months before you are reunited. Won't that be the same if we find someone else? If they are a pro hero, then they can be dispatched with you. It will not always be the case, but it is an answer. Also, it would be best to keep this weakness from getting out. If you ever reach the heights, I think you can then. If a villain found out, they may target your mother. While she will be working here, she is going to be living off campus. Izuku frowned. He had considered that, but not to the extent of his mom being the target of villain attacks. If you noticed such a dramatic change between yesterday and today, I am sure that the others in the ARC, at risk class, will notice as well. That is a problem. You are going to have to hold back showing your improvement slowly. So basically lie. Essentially yes, Izuku. We just talked about what the risks are if word gets out. The less people who know a secret, the less people there are to spill it. Izuku knew he was right, but he did not like lying to people. Momo knew the truth already from all their time together. Lying to the ARC felt wrong. Especially since all of them were going for the hero course and could be his classmates soon. Now I have no choice. I still do not like it. I hate to tell you this, but you better get used to it. Sometimes we must lie to those we hold most dear to keep them safe. It is the ugly side of heroics. You cannot necessarily come home and tell your loved one about the top secret investigation you were working on. That is why I have a cat. I can tell her anything and do not have to worry about her disclosing information. So, your answer is get a cat? No, that is my answer. In the end, Izuku, it is your answer to find. I cannot tell you why you want to be a hero. Nor can you tell anyone else. It is their answer to find, and no two people have the same answer. It may be similar, but that is it. Why do you want to be a hero, Izuku? When I was little, I was inspired by the stories my grandmother told me. Then when I got older, it was by the fact that my father was. Then in the end, it is because I want to help people. I want to protect people. It may sound silly, but I want to be a light in the darkness. I am not even sure what that means. But when my grandmother was dying, I promised her that I would always smile even when it was the darkest. Izuku paused. My grandpa used to tell me the tale of Argonaut. I loved it. A hero that fought against such great odds and did so well. Not only did he inspire others to fight, but he caught the attention of the gods. I do not want to fight alone. I want to inspire others to rise and fight against the darkness or evil of this world. Heroes cannot do it alone. When I made that promise to my grandma Hestia, that word appeared on my back. Argonaut. I do not know if that means anything, but I want to believe it does. What about you? They said I couldn't do it because of my quirk, so I decided to prove them all wrong. So, your motivation was to give everyone who told you that you couldn't do it was to do it so you could give them the metaphorical middle finger? Pretty much. Izuku laughed. Jim Gamma Izuku stood next to a table with candy apples with only Haruhime standing next to him. Their mission stopped the twins from reaching the table. Izuku looked to Haru. Are you ready for this? Yes, I think so. The principal said we need to practice this to see how it works, and since I have already told you about my quirk. Okay then, Haru. I believe in you. Haru clasped her hands in front of her and closed her eyes, taking a deep breath before beginning. Grow. Bless the vessel with divine power, a tower of riches for a tower of wishes. And tell the tolling of the bell I call upon thy glory in illusion. Let him grow this golden light provided by the gods above. For this body that has devoured divine gifts with the pounding of a mallet into the ground. May thou be blessed, let him grow Uchide no Kozuchi. Dance and whirl. The bright light that had surrounded her tail flew off and enveloped Izuku. It was amazing. He felt stronger, faster, he just felt better. It was like after he fought the overhaul and Asterius. He took a deep breath and began to push Firebolt into this blade. The change was immediate. He could feel it. Fujin and Raijin stepped onto the street, wrapped in wind and lighting. One shot was all he had. Once chance to do this. He burst forth, leaving a deep divot in the concrete and a blast of wind in his wake. The twins smiled as lightning fired forth. Izuku could see it as clear as day. It was slow. He simply rabbit-stepped to the side, keeping his momentum forward. He was moving faster than he had even dreamed. Fire meet wind and lightning. The explosion was immense. It knocked Haru off her feet. When the smoke cleared, all three boys were unconscious. Izuku was smiling. Nezu sitting in the control room, he was clapping his hands gleefully. Did you see that? She can increase the power of someone's quirk. Now we need to have her try it on one of the professors. To test the effect. Is it wise for the little lady to go into the heroics class? If something like this was to get out, the ramifications are insane. Villains will be lining up around the block to get a hold of her, Snipe said. Haru wants to be a hero, she wants to help. In particular, she wants to support Izuku. He saved her and Eri. We cannot hold her here forever, that would make us no better than Overhaul. The same thing could be said for Eri and Rewind, Midnight added. We need to train her then, she needs to be able to do more than just this spell. She has no combat ability. Luckily, she has taken to exercising with Izuku at the very least. Aizawa said, rubbing his temples. As far as heroics class, we are going to make sure the students sign NDAs the first day. Hopefully, we can train her to do it without the chant. Doing that in the middle of a battle will just paint a target on her back even more. Himiko and Aisha are close with her, maybe we can bring them into the fold. Other students that are looking out for her would be beneficial, Midnight said. We cannot let her perform at the sports festival, that is for damn sure, or take an outside internship, Cementos said from the corner of the room. For now, we should let her choose who she tells about her quirk. Nomori, you need to sit down and have a serious talk about this with her. Explain the trouble that people knowing what she can do will cause and what she needs to do for us to allow her into the heroics course. You should begin training her right away as well. She needs extensive physical training and quirk training to eliminate the need for a chant if she can manage it. Nezu said. Now with expansion of the heroics class to 25 members to accommodate the addition of the ARC, we are going to increase the number of recommended students to 3. And after reading your proposal, Aizawa, there will be a probationary seat added for those whose quirk is at a disadvantage in the entrance exam. Now if you will excuse me, I have an interview with a potential new teacher. Izuku carried the final box into his new room. Looking around, he smiled. It was nice, with a large window. He walked downstairs using the towel wrapped around his shoulders to wipe his face and smiled seeing his mom unpacking boxes in the kitchen, Haruhime and Eri next to her. Himiko and Aisha came walking from one of the back rooms. All your clothes are hung up, Midoriya, Toga called out with a smile. Thank you, dears. Would you mind checking on Cassandra in the office? She was putting up the books. Sure thing, Aisha responded, dragging Himiko off. The door opened and in walked Bob carrying the new refrigerator. Just set it there in the opening, Bob. Make sure someone plugs it in before you push it back. Bob nodded and walked over. He smiled when he saw Izuku go to assist. Fujin and Reijin followed with a large part of the new sectional couch. You boys know where to set it? Midnight called from behind them. Aizawa came walking in behind the group carrying the coffee table. That is the last of it, Inko. The movers are ready to settle up. Thank you, Shota. Nomori, if you wouldn't mind, the envelope is there on the counter. Midnight aka Nomori walked over and grabbed the envelope and headed out the door. Gotcha, covered Inko. As Izuku moved out of the way so Bob could put the refrigerator in its final spot, mother and son shared a look and huge smiles. Everything was coming together. The business continued as Inko bounced from group to group giving instructions. She was even directing her fellow faculty members who just fell in step. Inko's arrival at the school had made Izuku somewhat nervous, but he soon realized that he had no reason to worry. Nomori and Inko had become fast friends as they were neighbors on campus. Izuku would find the two of them sharing evening glasses of wine and talking. Izuku tried his best to remember, but besides Momo's mother, he never remembered his mother having many if any friends. His mother had lived and worked so hard for him, he had slowly recognized all she had given up. But now his mother had fit right in, and soon he saw her talking casually with all the different faculty members. She had become the fourth in the group of Nomori, Aizawa, and Hizashi, President Mike, so seamlessly that you would have thought she had gone to hero school with the three. So, when she had bought a house, those four had volunteered to help, and when Ark learned that Izuku was moving, they wanted to help. Nezu had agreed since there were going to be 4 faculty members there to supervise. Izuku snapped a few more pictures and sent them off to Momo before going back to his assigned task, putting dishes away with Haru and Eri. Hizashi and Snipe came walking in later carrying tons of chicken, pizza, and all kinds of sides plus drinks. The adults laughed at the call for food as the teenagers swarmed from around the house to load up on food and retreat to the living room. The adults were gathered in the kitchen sharing food and wine and sharing laughs and stories. Inko was laughing so hard she had tears running down her face as Nomori was telling them of the time she had to go undercover and had gotten Hisashi to help by going undercover in drag to help her bust a prostitution ring. What had Inko in stitches was the fact that Hisashi kept getting more offers of work than Nomori, when Nomori busted out the photos that were it. Hisashi was red and flustered, but when Aizawa began to poke at his friend, Hisashi opened his phone and showed Inko a picture of Aizawa from when they graduated. Inko looked and laughed, holding the phone next to the scruffy pro and commenting on how short the younger version had his hair. Aizawa, not to go down alone, pulled up one of Nomori looking positively reserved. It continued like this with them all showing pictures of friends from their youth. Nomori was commenting on how unfair it was that they didn't have any ammo when her phone buzzed with an incoming file. White Rabbit. You didn't get this from me. Nomori opened the attached file and there were all kinds of pictures of Inko from her high school and some from college. Nomori of course found the most unflattering ones and showed the first one. Inko's eyes widened. That's at Izuku IAM showing Haru your baby pictures. Moom. Laughter erupted from both rooms. Haru opened her phone and she just squealed. Cassandra, Himiko, and Alicia rushed and looked over her shoulder. There on Haru's phone was a picture of Izuku in an All Might onesie, holding an All Might doll doing the hands on the hip pose with the biggest grin. Izuku went beet red. You're evil. The adults burst into laughter. It was a great night. Everything was cleaned up as the art class had to get back to campus. Mother and son sat in the kitchen just smiling and remembering the evening. Thanks for everything, Mom, Izuku said as he pulled his mother into a hug. Inko held her son tight. There is no need to thank me, Izuku, this is what parents do. Inko opened a drawer and plopped the motorcycle exam book on the counter. Izuku's eyes went wide. It will take you forever to get there by train, and I know you have been looking at those magazines every time you get a chance. So, I want you to study. I signed you up for a class on Saturdays. You should be ready for the test in 3 months. Izuku hugged his mother tightly, snatched the book, and raced upstairs. Inko smiled and opened her phone to a specific file. She looked fondly at the picture. In it there was Inko in full riding leathers, her arms wrapped around a fit and handsome man with a devilish smile, his red eyes gleaming with mischief and his snow-white hair looking freshly windblown. They were standing next to a cliff posed by a custom Harley. You would be proud, Taish. He is growing up so fast. I only hope that I can keep up. -3 months later, Izuku was beaming as he sent a photo of his license to his friends. His mom was smiling as they drove home. She could barely contain herself. They pulled up to the house. As she opened the garage, she waited for Izuku to look up, and when he did, he almost passed out. Sitting there was a motorcycle. He looked at his mom. She opened the glove box and handed him a set of keys. His stare was far away as she placed them in his hands. He jumped out of the car and ran over to the bike. It was an older bike, an American Harley-Davidson Sportster. He paused as he examined it. The bike was a deep red with white accents. It was then he saw it on the fuel tank. Better lucky than dead, Taish. He had seen this bike before. It was his father's. He looked over at his mother, who had tears in her eyes. With a tentative touch, he reached out and touched the bike, afraid it would disappear. He didn't notice the tears that ran down his cheeks. He felt his mom's arms wrapped around him. Are you sure, Mom? He managed. Of course, honey, he wanted you to have it. She released her son and walked over to the trunk of her car and returned with a helmet and a large box with a bow on it. Izuku took the helmet with trembling hands. It matched the bike. It even had his dad's logo of the rabbit foot on it one side and the Luck Hero Taish stenciled on the other. He had a feeling about what was in the box, but he prayed he was right. He opened it and there it was, his dad's leather jacket. I might still be a little big, but I don't think by much. Put it on, honey. He slipped the jacket on. The smell of the leather, the fit was like a warm hug. Izuku couldn't stop crying or smiling. The two just held each other till they composed themselves, and Inko took several pictures. She sent a few to Momo and Nomori. After all, it was Nomori who helped her pull off this little surprise for Izuku. Izuku sent some of the photos his mom took to his friends in the Ark. The guys sent congratulations and the girls wanted to know when they were going for a ride. Momo sent him something similar. Momo. I am sure that he is looking down at you and smiling. I can't wait to get home so we can go on a ride. I already have my leather pants. Image attached. Izuku opened the photo and there was Momo in skin-tight leather pants with a Luck Hero, Tai's shirt. Izuku. Holy hell, you look amazing. I can't wait to see you again. He looked up to see his mom smiling at him. She walked over and handed him a credit card. Why don't you go out and have some fun? Just be home by midnight. Izuku kissed his mom. Putting on the helmet, he climbed on and started up the bike. It hummed to life. Izuku couldn't stop smiling if his life depended on it. He leaned over and kissed his mom on the forehead as he made his way out of the garage. She stood there listening as the bike roared off down the street. She gently wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes as she walked into her house, seeing Nomori standing there offering a glass of wine. She hugged Nomori. Thanks for all your help. Nomori smiled. What are friends for? Izuku raced off down the street. He tried to keep it under control, but like any teenager, he just couldn't help himself. When he found an open stretch, he would gun the bike. He was having the time of his life. He just drove around the city. He felt like he was flying. He stopped by a bike shop and bought himself some riding boots. Eventually the rumble from his stomach caught his attention. Looking around, he saw a grand opening for an American-style dinner and pulled in front. Parking his bike, he walked inside and was shown to a seat by the window. As he was going to his seat, he noticed that there was a group of teenagers, mostly girls, who were looking at him as he was seated in the booth next to him. He could feel eyes on him as he was looking at the menu. Please, for the love of God, don't let this be the start of something bad. He could feel eyes on him, and shortly he heard giggles and whispers. Yo, dude, is that your bike? Izuku looked up and saw a girl with dark green hair and eyes turned with her head turned a full 180 degrees looking at him. He nearly spits out his soda. He then noticed her head was floating slightly above her neck. Yay. How are you doing that? Is it your quirk? He responded. Any sort of annoyance was quickly dismissed at such an interesting quirk. Yup. Hey, why don't you join us at our table? My friend loves motorcycles and you are pretty damn cute. Izuku's face morphed into shock at her forwardness, and he blushed. The girl giggled at his reaction. Set. What are you doing? He heard another voice. Inviting the hot guy. You were looking at to come to eat with us, Ken. I didn't say he was hot. I was admiring the bike. Fine. You can admire the bike, I will admire the rider. So, what do you say, bro? Care to join us? Izuku was still in shock, but maybe this was an opportunity to meet some new people, and one of them liked motorcycles, so what the heck. He slid out of his booth, grabbed his stuff, and walked around. He saw one guy with silver hair and black eyes, a girl with orange-red hair and teal eyes, and another girl with pale gray hair and blue eyes. They all looked to be the same age as him. He smiled. Hello, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Thank you for inviting me to eat with you. Hey. Man, I'm Tetsu. The boy responded. He laughed at Izuku's facial expression in response to his name. Yay, it's a mouthful, just call me Tetsu. Itsuka Kendo, the girl with orange-red hair, said. That's Reiko Yanagi. She is a little shy, so don't worry if she doesn't say anything. She added as he pointed to the girl with pale gray hair. And last but not least, I'm Setsuna Tokage, but you can call me Set. The green hair girl said. Set and Reiko scooted over for him so he could take a seat, which he did. After the waitress returned to take his order, he turned and looked at the group. So, Kendo, you like bikes too? Yay, I want one, but my dad won't let me get one till I turn 18. That's a nice one you got. It's an older model, but it looks great. Sportster, right? You are correct, good eye. When did you get it? Izuku looked at his watch, like 2 hours ago, give or take. It used to be my dad's. That's so manly that he passed it on to you. Does he still ride? Tetsu asked. Izuku gave a warm smile. No, he died right after I was born. Bro, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up bad memories. You're good. I was like a few weeks old. My mom surprised me with it when we got home from getting my license. Izuku held up his jacket so they could see the patch on the back. That was him, the luck hero. Taish. That's so manly, Tetsu said. So, your dad was a pro? Is your mom one? Set asked. No, my mom is a doctor, she just got a job at UA. For reals? Are you applying for UA? Set followed up. Yay, I am taking the recommended exam coming up here soon. Dope, me too, Set said with a smile. These guys are applying as well. Wait, all of you are applying to UA? Izuku asked the group. They all nodded to him. As his food arrived and their group arrived, they all started talking. Izuku found out that the girls all went to the same school and that Itsuka had gone to middle school with Tetsu. They were surprised when he told them that he had already graduated and was now just focusing on training and getting ready for the exam. They were all having a great time. Even Reiko would chime in with a few comments which made Izuku smile that she felt comfortable. It turned out to be a great time. They all were standing outside talking more while Itsuka looked over his bike, till they all had to leave to catch their trains. They exchanged contact info before separating. Izuku promised to take Itsuka and set for a ride another time. He would have done so now, but he didn't have a spare helmet, much to Itsuka's disappointment. Izuku watched them walk off towards the station before he climbed on his bike and went off into the city once more. Little did he know that someone had taken a particular interest in him. Somewhere Kai Chisaki sat in his group's fallback location as their primary base had been raided by the police. Kai was not in good mood. First, they lost Eri and Haruhime, then the compound gets raided, and now he was stuck in this shithole. His thoughts when there was a brief knock at his door and in walked Chrono. Kai looked at his number 1. This better be good news or else someone is getting exploded. We just got a call from Fels. Apparently he spotted some kid, 5'9" or so, white hair and green eyes. Kai's eyes narrowed. Where? Mustafa. I want some more eyes there to find out who he is and if Eri and Hatsume are there. Already have some guys on the way, Kai. Good, I want reports twice a day. That kid is going to pay. The only thing better than owning and driving a motorcycle was to have a bunch of girls that wanted rides on the said motorcycle. The way they wrapped their arms around him and pressed in tight was exhilarating. Izuku was finding out that girls really did like a man on a motorcycle. He was currently enjoying this experience with Itsuka. Ever since that night in the dinner, she and her friend circle had been regular fixtures on his phone and group chats. In their definite not date, but kind of a date, which had Itsuka on the back of his bike as they went for a ride along the coast. They had parked at a beach, changed into definitely not new swimming apparel, and nice picnic lunch that Itsuka had prepared for them. It was a rather enjoyable not date. As Izuku dropped her off at her house and walked her to the door, he was surprised when she kissed his cheek before darting into the house. Izuku flushed and walked back toward his bike with a smile on his face. This was complicated though. What about Momo? They were still talking and flirting. It wouldn't be fair to lead either girl on. As Izuku made his way towards his bike, he would have to sit down and talk with someone, maybe Midnight or his mom. But how do you start that conversation? Hey, I have feelings for my best friend, and I like this new girl I meet. Oh, let not talk about the girls in the arc. He said to himself. With a heavy sigh and tingle on his cheek from Idusuka's kiss, he straddled his bike. With a single kick, the bike roared to life, and he sped off into the night. His mind was slightly distracted as he was going down the road. He started to notice that there were no other cars, which was highly odd. Yes, the sun had said good night, but it wasn't that late. He knew that much. As he came around the turn, he saw the road blocked off by 3 black SUVs. Men were standing on the other side of the cars, and they had guns. He also noticed a rather large form standing in front of the cars who roared as the light hit him. It was Asterius. The first bullet hit his shoulder. He barely managed to maintain control of the bike. He had nowhere to go. He didn't know if he could lay the bike down. He was as good as dead anyways. He had one chance, summoning all his will. Rabbit step. He felt the lurch as he and the bike lurched forward and by a few inches managed to materialize on the other side of the blockade. His vision narrowed as he felt blood gush from his nose. Trying to maintain consciousness, he weaved to avoid the bust of gunfire from behind. Gunning the engine, he raced off. As he passed another intersection, he saw singular headlights roar to life as he barely managed to swerve around another motorcycle. He saw them swing a blade wildly at him as he passed. He was now in a high-speed chase. He had grown confident in his riding abilities to not die while riding but not to try and engage in combat while doing so. Especially fighting off the massive headache from using rabbit step on himself and the bike, he was still having a problem focusing. What do I do? What do I do? Quickly he tapped the button on the side of his visor. As the virtual assistant on his phone sprung to life, he yelled at it, "Call Mom." Are you sure? Yes, goddammit. Is that Mom mobile, work or home? Mobile, call Mom mobile. It felt like an eternity for the call to connect, but another rider had pulled alongside him and swung a chain. Izuku managed to swerve to the side out of reach but almost went into the dirt. He maintained control as the rider and his friends gained ground. A baseball bat was his next obstacle. As Izuku swerved, he was hit in the back by the chain wielder. "Hey Izuku, are you on your way home? I am being chased." "What? Where are you?" "I am passing N-145, Firebolt." He blasted the rider with the bat as he came up to attack again. "It is Overhaul's MEN, I saw ASTERIUS. I need help. I pushed the rabbit step too hard, and it is hard to stay conscious. NEMURI Izuku is under attack, we need to help him," he heard his mom shouting. "Izuku, what road are you on?" Izuku swerved from the chain, but he got caught by the blade wielder, adding to the pain in his already shot shoulder. "Route 54 eastbound, I have been shot in the shoulder and just got cut. Eat this, you motherfucker. Firebolt." Izuku aimed at the bike this time. The explosion launched the rider into the air and knocked the other one back. A glance in the mirror saw the headlights of the SUV rounding a bend farther back. "OHSHIT, I think that guy is dead." Izuku, oh god, just keep running baby, help is on the way, his mother yelled. "I midnight to do Irby authorize you to use your quirk in self-defense, now keep going. I am getting in contact with the police, head to city." Izuku's mind was aflame. He may have just killed someone, he was shot, cut, and bleeding something bad. His adrenaline was pumping, luckily it was keeping him conscious. The sound of gunfire behind him caused him to hang a hard right, the bike almost slipping out from under him. "They're firing again. I just went left on 150 north. I have no idea where I am." "It is okay baby, keep going and turn right on 24 east. God Izuku, don't stop." NEMURI says the alert has been sent on the Hero Network. Ears are head in the city. You have to get to the city baby, don't stop. Izuku was going as fast as he could, trying to will the bike to go faster, to ignore the pain in his shoulder that was threatening to cripple him. He saw the light of the city not far, he felt hope. Then it turned to ash in his mouth. There in the center of the road was Overhaul. Izuku saw it all in slow motion, the hand hitting the ground, the spikes bursting out. He swerved and angled toward the field, but it wasn't fast enough as a spike erupted, spearing the bike. He kicked off into the air, and he managed to orient himself in the air, rabbit step. He launched and emerged parallel to the ground. Gravity grabbed a hold of him, and he crashed to the earth, tumbling as his velocity had not been availed. When he felt it explode, his body erupted in pain. Eventually, he tumbled to stop. He tried to stand blood coming from places that it should not be coming from. He couldn't even draw his knife, he didn't even have his knife. He saw death approaching him, and there was nothing he could do about it. He raised his hand ready to try and fire off a firebolt. He saw the SUVs turn off into the field towards him. He looked like he was in a field. He fired off a weak firebolt. He saw the fire erupt and catch the grass. He turned and started to stumble away the best he could, when he stepped, his leg just crumpled underneath him. Reaching out with his only arm that was somewhat working, he clawed at the earth, attempting to drag himself away. "Where are you going, you diseased piece of filth?" a sinister voice rang out. He kept trying to crawl. "If you tell me where Eri and Haruhime are, I will end you painlessly," Overhaul hissed. "Eat shit," Izuku spat, as blood gushed from his mouth. "Asterius, take him," Overhaul commanded. The Minotaur stalked forward, ready to crush Izuku. Izuku closed his eyes and braced for death. "Starlight Barrage." A woman's voice rang out in the distance. Suddenly there were screams for Overhaul and his men, and silvery arrows rained down. Moonfall. An incredibly large crescent blade of white, silver energy blazed forth over Izuku's head as it impacted Overhaul and his men, sending them flying in the other direction. Izuku heard footsteps as something wrapped around him, lifting him and racing off into the night. He couldn't make out his savior. He was sent down by a tree. He managed to lift his head and saw a woman with a bow in her hand kneel near him. "You won't be escaping so easily, Orion. Also, you seem to have lost this." He felt his dagger fall into his lap. He tried to get a better look at the woman, but his vision was failing him. Izuku saw her fire a flare off into the sky as everything caught up with him and he slipped into darkness. Izuku Midoriya sat in the passenger seat as Nomori raced through the streets in her high-end sports car. Cars were a blur. Everything was a blur to her, to be honest. She knew Nomori was talking, but she sounded far away and like Izuku was underwater. Her baby was clinging to life. He had been found under a tree by a new hero, Mount Lady. Unfortunately, Overhaul and Asterius had escaped capture, but the rest of his men had been caught by the arrival of Cammy Woods. Recovery Girl was en route to the hospital as well. All she knew though was the matter seemed grim. She was on the verge of losing her Izuku. She did her best to remain present as her mind spiraled. Quietly she closed her eyes and offered a prayer to her ancestors, to Grandma Hess. It was prayer for healing and for vengeance. Shota Aizawa. Good thing you were able to track them down, Eraserhead, Endeavor growled. I wasn't very happy about letting them slip through my fingers like that. It is appreciated, Endeavor, but now that we know where they are nesting, they won't be free for long. We have backup on its way. As soon as he arrives we are clear to engage. Overhaul, that damn rabbit had made a fool of him again by managing to avoid capture, though he still had hope that the boy would succumb to his wounds, but they were in trouble. He had lost some good men on that attempt. Fortunately, he still had his best men with him. They were going to raid that hospital and make sure that little shit was dead. Then the roof of the house caved in. Surrender villains, for I am here. Overhaul spun to see the #1 hero of Japan standing before him. The gates of the compound exploded as Endeavor and his sidekicks burst onto the property. Overhaul exploded the ground as he dashed to an escape tunnel. It was now a question of survival. It was pure chaos for the Shi Hasaikai at that point. Nameless foot soldiers launched themselves at the heroes, but as to be expected, All Might was having none of this. It wasn't until the 8 bullets stepped in, Rappa and Hekiji were able to stall the #1 hero long enough for Overhaul to make his escape. Hekiji with his quirk barrier and Rappa's strongarm, the duo was quite formidable. Right as Endeavor had breached the front door, a scream was heard as hundreds of the same-looking man came pouring in from every direction. His cries of, "Save me, let me kill you," were enough to give even the most hardened hero pause, but Endeavor was no ordinary hero, and he was not about to allow All Might to take all the glory for this encounter. While the battle raged above him, Overhaul followed by Asterius made their way through the tunnels. A quick escape was soon neutralized when he came face to face with the underground hero Eraserhead. "Leaving so soon, Kai, after we went through all this trouble for you? You really shouldn't have, but since you did we might as well send you off in a body bag." Morning hospital consciousness slowly came back to Izuku. His eyes fluttered open to find himself in a hospital bed staring up at the world's most boring ceiling tiles. Why can't hospitals ever have murals or painted tiles on the ceiling, always drab and white? He mused. As his eyes adjusted, he saw his mom asleep with her head on the bottom of the bed, and Midnight and Eraserhead in the corner talking quietly. He didn't even have to say anything as they took notice that he was awake. Midnight went over to gently wake up his mother as Eraserhead came over. "We will talk after you get smothered by Inko. Glad to see you are up. I will let the Ark know what is going on." True to the pro-hero's prediction, his mother immediately went to hug him, but it was surprisingly gentle. When he went to move, he understood why. His entire body was in pain. He noticed that one leg was in a cast as well as an arm. His shoulder was in a sling and his chest and midsection were heavily bandaged. His groan of pain brought his mother back to her senses. "Don't try to move, baby. I will let the doctor know you are awake so we can get you some pain medicine. Recovery Girl will be back later so she can heal you some with her quirk. She could only assist with the surgery as you were too weak for her treatment." "What's the damage?" "Honestly, it is bad, baby. You were shot, the bullet broke your collarbone, the slash damaged some tendons, you broke your tibia and fibula in your right leg, fractured the femur in the left, broke 3 ribs, your elbow, multiple concussions, and bruising. If not for Recovery Girl you would be facing the possibility of permanent damage, baby, but between her and the doctors here you should make a full recovery. They are raiding Overhaul's base of operations as we speak. Hopefully we should be able to put an end to this tonight." Midnight set her hand on Inko's shoulder, giving it a friendly squeeze. In a seedy bar, Overhaul stood outside the seedy bar, his hand hesitant to open the door. The last thing he wanted to do was get indebted to the monster in the dark, but he was out of options. Eri and Haruhime had escaped. His home had been raided, the old man was taken, his organization was scattered or in custody, that damn rabbit was still alive, and they had just survived a raid led by Endeavor, fucking All Might and that goddamn prick Eraserhead. If it wasn't for Overhaul's quirk they would be too beaten and broken to move. Thankfully Chrono, Asterius, Didoro, and Hekiji had managed to escape, but they were on the run and in need of allies, even ones such as these. Kai rolled his shoulders. Didoro, you and Hekiji wait out here in case shit goes sideways. Asterius, Chrono, you come with me and stay alert. Kai rolled his shoulders. It was time to play the game and put up an act. He had never liked this part of life, but it what was needed if what was left of his family were going to survive. The trio entered the bar. It was run down. The tables looked like they were about to fall apart. What caught Overhaul's attention was the man behind the bar. He was of decent height, but that did not catch Overhaul's attention. The bartender's body appeared to be completely made of a dark purple mist, with two glowing yellow eyes peering out from the darkness. He had a strange metal brace around where his neck would be, and at the very least, he was dressed with a crisp white shirt, silver and black striped tie-matching vest, and black slacks. As Overhaul approached, he noticed that the bar and area behind were pristine and clean. Overhaul approved. Welcome to the bar with no name. What can I get for you, sir? 3 bourbons, neat, and make it a triple for the big guy here, Overhaul said. You got a name, Slick. I assume you know who I am. I am known as Kurogiri, and of course I do, Overhaul. With practice and crisp measure, the bartender poured their drinks cleanly and with precision. He slid the drinks over. On the house, sir. The young master will be here shortly, please enjoy. Overhaul took a sniff before taking a sip. Chrono just tossed the drink back, as did Asterius. A door from the hall opened and in walked what Overhaul could only assume was this young master. Overhaul was offended from the get-go. This light blue-haired, red-eyed man walked with an unsteady gait of a man that had just woken up. His clothes were disheveled, and he had a definite smell accompanying him. Then there were the hands, one covering his face and the others on his shoulders and arms. Sir, you guests have arrived, Kurogiri stated as he set up an energy drink on the counter. So, this is a legendary mob, the Yakuza. Funny, I expected better, he commented as he popped the can open and took a long drink. Overhaul's fist clenched. He thought of just destroying this guy on the spot, but that would hurt his chances of getting what he needed. Well, the feeling is mutual. I was expecting better than some fucking hikikomori, but yet here we are, Overhaul responded. The man shot Overhaul a glare as he downed his energy drink before setting back on the counter. Watch your tone. Or I will do the police a favor and just eliminate you here and now. Funny, I was thinking the same thing. Now Tamura, be respectful of our guests, and Overhaul, if you want to live to walk out of the bar, I suggest you do the same. The voice came out of a speaker that the bartender had set on the counter. Sensei, I don't need anything from this relic, Tamura said. Overhaul was about to respond to Tamura but decided that the voice from the speaker was the one really in charge. I take it you are the one truly in charge then? He said to the speaker. I am. What is it that I can help you with? Tamura clicked his tongue as he opened another energy drink that Kurogiri set out for him. I have come seeking information. I lost something recently, 2 somethings. A little girl and her attendant go by the name Eri and Haruhime. I want them back. Well, I will see if I can help you with their location, the voice responded. What is this going to cost me? I am sure we can work something out, Overhaul. Izuku, despite having recovery girl's assistance, the healing process was still slow. Rehabilitation and scars followed. Momo constantly called him since he regained consciousness in the hospital, checking his progress and encouraging him. Even with the time difference, she would video chat with him for a few minutes every day, going out of her way to wake up in the middle of the night. Her level of care had deeply touched the boy's heart. Itsuka, Set, Reiko, and Tetsu would join him for workouts or to support him as he rehabbed. Tetsu quickly became a great friend as he would come to training with Izuku and push him, encourage him, and be a positive force in the workout room. After learning about the harm that Overhaul had caused to Eri, Arc became determined to seek revenge. Their motivation to train harder and push themselves further was strengthened after the attack on Izuku. During this time, Eri's reaction to seeing Izuku's scars was heartwarming and remarkable. She was eager to heal him, which was a turning point for her as she began to see her gift as a means of helping those she cared about instead of a curse. Izuku would endure pain and scarring if he could assist her in return. Meanwhile, Cassandra took it upon herself to heal him. Her ability worked even more miraculously than Recovery Girl's, accelerated the body's natural healing process, and restored some of his arm's nerve damage and injured ligaments. Although he wasn't sure whether her healing required direct skin contact, she assured him that it was the most effective method for precisely targeting the areas that needed healing. Inko, her son's speedy recovery gave him and his mother a sense of relief. As she held a position at the school, she could keep an eye on his progress and was heartened by the support he received from his peers. While the whole ordeal was challenging, the kindness and assistance of Aizawa, Hisashi, and Nomori provided a glimmer of hope. Additionally, she was grateful for the camaraderie she experienced with the school staff, as she had been without close companions for quite some time. Although Momo's mother was a cherished friend, their busy schedules made connecting and spending time together difficult. Inko had a close relationship with Nomori, particularly in recent times. However, everything changed when Izuku called. Inko had never examined her feelings towards women before, but Nomori was unlike any woman she had ever met. Nemori's persona vastly differed from her true self, calm, gentle, and subtly flirtatious. Nomori was not outrageous or overly sexual in private. She was beautiful, making it perfectly apparent where her intentions lay. Being around Nomori made Inko feel emotions she hadn't experienced since her time with Taish. It was expected for Nomori to rush and passionately kiss Inko after cornering her for a wall slam. Still, surprisingly, Nomori was taking things slow and giving Inko a chance to decide while clarifying her intentions. It felt like gradually slipping into a hot bath, allowing the body to adjust to the temperature. Inko found herself adjusting comfortably and enjoying the experience. The way she treated Izuku was a big bonus. She treated him gently but firmly. She was only allowing the boy to make small mistakes but taking the time to correct them and teach him how not to make them again. The two also seemed to be getting closer as they would be having conversations that would cut off when she got too close. When Inko asked Nomori as she was concerned, Inko was pleased with the response. He is having trouble navigating relationship troubles. He felt awkward talking to his mother about it. It is nothing bad or dangerous. I told him that if it were, I would tell you immediately. Honestly, it made me feel good that he came to me, to know that he trusts me. That's good because I trust you, too, Inko said, slipping deeper into the bath. She moved closer to Nomori, shyly taking the heroine's hand. Nomori smiled sweetly, moving closer to Inko. I am glad to hear it. How much do you trust me? As Nemori's sweet breath brushed against her lips, Inko knew they were getting closer. The question lingered in her mind, should she get involved with a hero again? Her son was already immersed in that world, along with his friends and the kids she had grown to know so well. Despite the statistics warning her to stay away, Inko was never one to follow the rules. After all, she had achieved success beyond what was expected of her, rising to her position at UA and standing just inches away from the beautiful woman in front of her, hoping for a kiss. Inko's answer was clear, completely, she whispered, using her quirk to pull Nomori closer and seal the moment. Their lips met slowly in a soft and tender kiss. Wrapped in each other's arms, they pulled closer. Inko hadn't experienced a kiss like this in years since Taish. She had gone on a few awkward dates, but nothing compared to this moment. The warmth spread throughout her body, the desire erupted inside her mind. Inko surprised herself when she opened her mouth to invite Nemori's tongue. As soon as it happened, a throaty moan escaped Inko's lips as she eagerly attempted to capture it. When she succeeded, she was rewarded for her efforts. The fire became an inferno as her hands tangled themselves in the pro-heroine's hair. Nomori reached and grabbed a handful of Inko's plump backside, rewarded with Inko moaning into her mouth. Passion threatened to overtake them till Inko pulled back. Her face flushed, pleased to see the same expression on Nemori's face. Izuku's home, she managed to say, breathing heavily. After dinner, maybe we should talk about this. Nomori quickly kissed Inko's lips. I would very much like to talk about this. Reluctantly, they stepped back, creating some distance between them. They were aware that if they remained too close, their intense desires could potentially traumatize Izuku if he were to walk in on them. Inko's mind raced, the thoughts of Nomori and Izuku. How would he react? Not only was his mother possibly going to begin dating again, but it was his professor, a pro-hero, and a woman. If he reacted poorly, would that be enough to dissuade Inko from this? No, it wouldn't, of that, she was sure. It would make things easier, as she had never been at odds with her son, and it was not an experience she was interested in experiencing. Nomori, I know I said after dinner, but do you think we can talk a little about this now? Of course. Let me be honest, I haven't had a real relationship since Izuku's father passed. A few dates and some kissing here and there, but nothing like I felt when I kissed you. I can honestly say that I want to be with you. Nomori smiled. I have had my fair share of dating experiences, but unfortunately, nothing serious ever came out of them. It's hard to say whether it was due to my partners or me. However, I find solace and happiness in caring for Eri and Haru and spending time with you and Izuku. You make me feel a sense of warmth that no one has ever managed to evoke. I would love to be with you as well. That's all I need to hear. Perhaps we can postpone the rest of our talk till tomorrow. I need to talk with Izuku. I can understand that. I should get going anyways. I promised the girls we would watch movies and eat popcorn, Nomori said as they walked over and captured Inko in a hug. They kissed briefly, feeling those flames again before the pro-hero stepped back. With a smirk, "You are a dangerous woman, Izuku Midoriya." Inko just blushed and smiled as Nomori left. Composing herself, she finished dinner before calling her son to discuss the change that had just happened. As they finished eating, Izuku got up to clear the table before Inko bade him sit beside her so she could talk to him. Izuku sat down, slightly nervous that something terrible had happened or was wrong. Putting on his bravest face, he sat facing his mother, taking her hands. "Mom, is everything okay?" he asked gently, bracing for terrible news. He knew it could not be too horrible as his mother was not crying or showing signs that she had been crying. "Izuku, everything is fine. However, something has occurred recently that I would like to discuss with you. Before I proceed, may I ask if you would be bothered if I were to start dating someone?" "Of course not. You deserve to be happy, Mom. What if I was to date one of your professors?" "Mother, your well-being and their accountability towards you are my only significant factors." Even if was Nomori, Izuku didn't object, saying, "If being with Midnight brings you joy or comfort, I won't stop you." He embraced Inko, holding her close. "Mom, your happiness is what matters most. Even if you were to date Nezu, I wouldn't mind. Although that might seem strange, you get my point. Besides, I have a good impression of Professor Midnight." Inko held her son tight. "When did you get all muscly?" "Last week, I started doing hardcore steroids. I got to get all roided out for school. All the cool kids are doing it." Inko gave him a good pinch, laughing as he pulled back. "Well, get the dishes done, Mr. Hardcore Roid Guy." "Sure thing, Mother," Izuku said, trying to make his voice as deep as possible. Inko couldn't help but laugh as she watched her son pick up the dishes while trying to flex the whole time. Her eyes tore up, and her face hurt from smiling and laughing. After Izuku had gone to bed, Inko sat in her room, feeling like a nervous teenager staring at her phone. She hit the dial button and smiled as Nemori's voice filled the other end. "I was thinking we could talk to dinner tomorrow night?" "Sounds good. I know just the place," Nomori responded. "Nothing too fancy, but they have some amazing food, and it's quiet." "Sound lovely. See you at work tomorrow. I look forward to it." Izuku he got a good chuckle watching his mother change her outfit 10 times, asking his opinion. She was about to try outfit 11 when Izuku took his mother's hands. "Mom, you will look beautiful in anything, and I am sure Midnight will think so too." "When did you get so smooth, young man? Talking to Midnight has also helped. Also, when many of your friends are pretty girls, sink or swim." "Is that what the two of you have been talking about?" "Oh no, this is about you, not me. Besides, she will be here in about 10 minutes. You better finish getting ready." Inko looked at the clock before dashing off. She paused to look at herself in the mirror, wearing a white cashmere sweater, fitted blue jeans, and calf-high brown leather boots. She quickly finished the ensemble with gold earrings, a matching necklace, and a few bracelets. She transferred the essentials into a matching clutch, and the doorbell rang. Izuku walked over and opened the door to be greeted by the smiling faces of Midnight, Haru, and Eri. He stepped back as the girls headed to the living room carrying a pizza box and some sides. He looked at Midnight. "I know that you wouldn't do anything to hurt her, but please be gentle with her. She had given up so much for me, and I have never seen her so excited and nervous." Midnight smiled at him. "I promise, Izuku." Izuku took a moment to smile as he noticed that she was wearing a white blouse with fitted jeans and black leather boots. When his mother came around the corner, the two women smiled as they noticed the similarities in the outfits. "I hope you two have a wonderful time, and Mom, don't worry about getting home early. I am sure Haru and Eri would love to spend the night." Inko smiled. "I will keep that in mind. Anything else I should know?" "Yay, if you two get arrested, I will need a serious boost to my allowance if you want to get bailed out." He hugged his mother tight and did the same to Midnight. Please have a good night, you two. As the door closed, Midnight smiled. 1. You look beautiful. 2. He has never hugged me like that. We talked last night, and I have to say you look amazing, so. Shyly Nomori took Inko's hand and walked her to the waiting car. Now, Inko, I am going to attempt to woo you out of your boots. Only my boots, Inko said in a flirty tone as she climbed into the car. I guess I should have worn something nicer. Nomori was in shock for a moment before she got behind the wheel. Inko, was all she managed to say as they pulled out of the driveway. Inko tilted her head back and laughed. Eri had a fantastic time with Izuku and Haru. They had pizza and popcorn while watching a movie, and Eri even got to choose which one to watch. What made it even better was being snuggled between her two friends on the couch. After the movie, they played house, with Eri taking on the role of the mommy and Izuku and Haru as her kids. It was hilarious tucking them into bed and telling them to sleep, and Eri couldn't stop giggling throughout the game. It was a new experience for her to be in charge, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. Haru Kitsune was in a difficult situation. She was lying in bed beside Izuku because Eri had made them do so. She tried not to focus on the situation. Her hand accidentally brushed against his. Although he didn't retract it, Kitsune knew it was inappropriate to entertain the thoughts that crossed her mind. She felt unworthy and unclean, knowing her type was always the downfall of heroes like him. Nevertheless, she was determined to support him and improve her quirk so that she could be helpful to him in some capacity. Izuku, fortunately, he could get out of bed when his mother texted him that she and Midnight would be home late, and the girls would be staying over. Eri cheered when he announced the news, asking if they could all sleep in the same bed. He couldn't help but smile at her adorable pout when he had to tell her that they would be staying in the guest room. Izuku then found a shirt for Eri, another for Haru, and a pair of gym shorts. While the girls bathed, he cleaned up the kitchen and living room. When they emerged, he was still busy with his task, with Eri looking cute in the oversized shirt. However, his breath caught in his throat when he saw Haru, and the thought of a girl wearing his shirt as a turn-on had never occurred to him before. His face turned bright red, and he looked away in embarrassment. His mind suddenly filled with the thought of her wearing a white long-sleeve button-down shirt and not much else. Silently he cursed his horny male brain, but he also thanked it even more for the image. It didn't help that Haru looked so cute when he could finally look at her again. One leg tucked slightly behind the other, her arms behind her back, as she swayed slightly. Eri, why don't you pick another movie, and I will make us some hot chocolate, he said as he quickly walked to the kitchen. Thankfully, after hot chocolate was in hand, the movie provided a welcome distraction as he changed into his sleeping clothes. Haru was thankful for the dim lighting as he had emerged in a tank top and basketball shorts, allowing her to take in his muscled upper body. Eri made it halfway through the movie before falling asleep. Izuku carried her with Haru trailing him to the spare bedroom. Gently, he tucked her in. Haru smiled, watching Izuku. He seemed like a doting father, a feeling that warmed Haru from the inside out as her fantasy of him tucking in their children and then retiring to their bedroom where she shook her head, trying to dismiss the thoughts that plagued her. She let loose a quiet sigh. It was a life she could only dream about, but thankfully, it was okay to dream because dreams are precisely that. Dreams. She bid good night to Izuku as he stepped past her to exit, savoring his whispered reply. Carefully she climbed into bed with Eri taking care not to wake her. She wrapped her arms around the unicorn, holding her ever so gently. She could feel Eri relaxing in her embrace and a whisper of Haru, as the girl drifted more profoundly into the land of dreams. Inko and midnight dinner turned into dancing, and dancing turned into a walk on the beach. As they made their way into the house, Nomori was going to head to the spare bedroom, but Inko pulled her into a kiss that had them stumbling into Inko's room. The girls felt like they were back in high school again as they made out. As sleep slowly climbed up to claim them, "So does this mean you will be my girlfriend?" Nomori asked, a blush on her cheeks. Inko would later say that moment would go into her file as one of the cutest moments of her life. Here was the pro-hero Midnight in her bed after they had just had a notable top 2 first dates. She was blushing while asking her to go steady. "I would like that very much, Nemi," she said, kissing her tenderly. "Good, because if you rejected me, I might have to go live in a monastery because I read this whole thing wrong." The morning after Haru and Eri woke to the smell of bacon. Entering the kitchen, they saw Izuku cooking at the stovetop. Their good morning, they made him smile as he returned their greetings. His attempt to impress Eri by flipping the pancake worked tremendously well. After they were fed, they retrieved their clothes from the previous day that Izuku had laundered for them. Deciding that going to his mom's room would be a mistake of epic proportions, and with the knowledge that Overhaul was on the run, they chose a trip to the park was in order. Haru ensured she had the panic button the school had given them just to be safe. Thankfully it was not needed. It was an excellent outing watching Eri run freely and even play with other children. It was slow for Eri as her interaction with other kids was limited to only those she knew in daycare. It took Izuku and Haru being next to her and playing with her and the other children before Eri became lost enough in the game to run off chasing the other kids. Is it weird that I feel proud? Izuku asked Haru. No, I do too, like a proud parent almost. Eri has had such a terrible life that we always thought that would be how it would always be. But when we bumped into you, and you saved us, Haru placed a finger on Izuku's lips as he was about to protest. Before you try to say anything, yes, Eijiro, Mina, and the other heroes all played a part. But that would have been impossible if you didn't step forward first. You are our hero, Izuku. Never forget that. Thank you, Haru, was his response as they watched their unicorn run and prance in the sunlight. As lunch hour drew near, they decided to head home. They had returned from the park to find Midnight and Inko sitting in the kitchen, making lunch, and making googly eyes at each other. The two adults blushed when Izuku teased them before they all had lunch together. Midnight and the girls went to leave afterward. Inko smiled as her new girlfriend went for a simple hug, but instead, Inko kissed her. Midnight, they blushed, promising to call later as the door closed and Eri asked a million questions. So, I take it the date went well? Izuku said with a smirk as he took a drink from his water bottle. It did, honey, it did. We talked, laughed, danced, and talked some more. We decided to try and give this a go and see where it leads. You haven't stopped smiling since I came home from the park, I am glad. He leaned over and kissed his mother on the forehead. Any news from the mechanic? Yes, the parts are starting to come in, and they said it should be all fixed in about a week or two. Recovery. It didn't take much more to get everything settled for Izuku's recovery, as he left Recovery Girl's office with a spring in his step and a clean bill of health. With a smile, he took a photo and screenshot it to his friends who had supported him. As he stepped into the art class, he took a dramatic pose and yelled out. Boom, people, I am cleared and ready to rumble, holding up his medical clearance. That is very nice, Mr. Midoriya, but this is math class. Kindly take your seat. Ectoplasm responded to the snickers of the class. Izuku sheepishly found his seat. Being able to participate in training again was practically a godsend. He felt great. The strange numbers on his back had gone up after his near-death experience. He was anxious to shake off the rust, and unfortunately for him, so was Mr. Aizawa. Izuku lay panting, drenched in sweat, and trying to remember if he had legs. He was unsure at the moment. Lifting his head, he could see them there. Moving them was out of the question. Now listen here, Izuku, you have 4 months before it is time for you to take your recommended exam, and there is no way in hell I am going to let you embarrass me out there, Aizawa said, looking down at Izuku. You are going to train harder every morning and every night. Also, the rat has a specialized lesson plan to ensure that you not only will pass the written exam but also score in the top 5. Anything less is completely unacceptable. Now get your ass up off that floor and give me 2 laps around the inner campus before you do your cooldown. Izuku struggled to his feet, happy that his legs had decided to return to him but also cursing it because he now had to run. I thought you liked me, sir? I do. Now get to running, Aizawa said with a smile. As he was running, he saw Haru and Cassandra being put through their paces by Midnight. He did not almost run into a light post because his 2 classmates were doing yoga in skin-tight pants. No. He did not. His mind wanders, contemplating the mystery of the universe. All his friends were doubling and focusing. The entrance exam was just around the corner. Takoba Municipal Beach Park. You are doing quite well. At this rate, you should have the beach cleared by next month. Then, you will be ready to inherit my quirk. All Might looked over at his successor, who returned a shaky thumbs up, which caused All Might to laugh. Now get up and give Main 2 laps up and down the beach. After all, no pain, no gain. All Might threw back his head and laughed heartily. His successor just groaned as they got up to do the run. T-4 months. How blind could he have been? All the time spent searching, all the time spent wondering, and the perfect successor was right there the entire time? Time is the most precious resource. When you are young, you have all the time in the world. As the years tick by slowly, it seems to move faster and faster. Till one day, you are wondering where it all went. It shouldn't have taken nearly dying at the hands of all for one to realize he should have been preparing for this day long ago. Sir Night-Eye had no right to look into his future, but still, he should have listened then to the extent of starting to look for a successor. Instead, he waited before he started looking. Everyone thinks they are immortal, will never falter, or will live forever, but no one does. All for One learned that, even in the age of quirks, while it may slow time, no one has been able to reverse it. He had wasted time. He desperately tried to hold on to it and stretch it to cover his error. The perfect successor was right there, but he had been too blind. Gazing out over the formerly junk-covered beach, she was blonde hair shining in the sun, tucking a stray piece of hair behind her ear, one foot slightly behind the other, swaying slightly, drinking water, not working, talking to a boy. All Might spit out his coffee. Melissa Shield. It all began about a year ago, a typical day for her, school, then to the lab. She was the daughter of David Shield, renowned inventor and scientist of Island, and friend of the greatest hero on the planet. Well, maybe the second greatest Stars and Stripes was damn cool and not her goofy Uncle Might. It was hard to reconcile the #1 hero with the corny jokester that was her Uncle Might. That was until the lab that her father was working in exploded. A villain group, the Technomancy, had attacked, looking to steal her father's inventions. For the greater good. They were just thieves, plain and simple. She had been working on her latest gadget, a captured weapon that would fire a tight ball of her hold M, patent pending. That would expand on impact, securing the villain to whatever was there. It even held Uncle Might for like 5 seconds, but still. That was still a victory in her book. She froze in terror when it was soon apparent that they were not after the inventions but the man behind them. She had to stop them. She had to do something. Uncle Might was dealing with bruisers of the group while their leader Techno-God was attempting to escape. When questioned later, she could say that her feet moved independently. She managed to fire off 2 shots before he disabled her weapon. What Techno-God was not ready for was when, knowing her gun was useless, it suddenly became a proper bat. Melissa Shield loved baseball. Her Uncle Might loves baseball, and Melissa Shield could swing a bat with the best of them. Techno-God's mouth could testify if they ever found all his teeth. All Might burst into sea, his niece knocking out Techno-God. It was then that it had all become so clear to the hero. That night, Uncle Might sat with her on the balcony and told her the truth about One for All, his injury, and his need to find a successor. He apologized to her for being so blind and stubborn as to recognize what was right before him. It was then that he offered her the opportunity to become his successor. She said yes immediately. Her father, on the other hand, took some time. Since then, she has been training, finishing school, and exercising more. Her move from Island was a sad yet exciting time, as this was the first time she would be away from home. It was a move necessitated by the fact that All Might couldn't be on Island all the time, neglecting his home. So, every day that had trained, with the final test being her cleaning up Toga Municipal Beach, that was when he showed up. The boy had shown up a few times now. He would be on the run taking note of the 2 blondes cleaning up the beach. At first, they may have just been a passing wave, but then one time, she was struggling with a big piece of junk, and he had offered her his assistance. With no Uncle Might say anything, and really, before she could protest, he just helped. They chatted briefly when they discovered they were both aiming for UA. This was her training. He didn't criticize or laugh. He commented on how being able to train and do community service was an excellent idea. After that, he would stop to talk to her for a bit before he would continue on his run. It just so happened that he was running late this time, and Uncle Might happen to be there. Melissa hadn't thought about it, more interested in the white-haired boy named Izuku who was standing in front of her. Melissa found his sweet nature cute, as he would stop and offer assistance or a few pointers. The fact that he was easy on the eyes certainly helped. She even noticed him sneaking a few peeks himself. So, they were talking, and he mentioned a new Indian restaurant that had opened on the boardwalk to see if she was interested. She absently twirled one of her strands of hair and was about to say how interesting the restaurant looked. "Who is your friend there, Melissa?" A voice behind her made her jump. All Might came walking from around the pile of junk, noticing that the boy seemed undisturbed as the skeletal man approached. "Sorry for interrupting your daughter's workout, sir." "No, he isn't my dad. This is my Uncle M, Toshi. He is training me," Melissa quickly said. "It is quite all right, young Midoriya, sir," Izuku said with a bow. "Sorry for disturbing your training, Melissa. Hopefully, I will see you around again." "Sorry again, sir," he said as he headed off the beach. All Might noticed the dagger on his back raised in an eyebrow. Before he could do anything, Melissa smacked him in the arm. 2 seconds more. You couldn't have waited 2 seconds more," she yelled at the shrinking hero. "He was going to ask me out to dinner." "I don't know if I want you going to dinner with him. He may not have good intentions," All Might pouted. "Not good intentions. I have talked to him for about 3 weeks. He wants to go to UA. He never made fun of my workouts and even gave me some pointers." She threw her hands up and walked off, kicking the sand. Izuku Midoriya. It was constant every day and every night. Aizawa pushed Izuku to his limit and beyond. Izuku was learning what it meant to go beyond. Plus Ultra was not just a motto. It was a place that you could find if you pushed hard enough. His body and quirks were being made farther than he thought possible, forced to go further with rabbit step, to fight longer, carry more weight, and run farther. He expanded his runs in the afternoon. He eventually found himself passing what he thought was a beach when he had mapped out his route, but it seemed to be cosplaying as a dump. Truthfully, it was nailing down that cosplay like no one had before. On one such loop, he noticed a blonde girl hauling trash off the beach to a truck while a skeletal blonde man was watching and shouting encouragement or directions. At first, he thought it was a weird way to work out, but the more he thought about it, the more he realized that it would work out all body parts and would be a great workout. Not wanting to interfere, he left it alone and continued running. Sure enough, he would see her daily, sometimes alone or with her trainer. Once, he saw her struggling with a large piece of rubbish, and he stopped and walked over to offer his aid. She began to protest, but he stepped in and lifted her on end. After they had just started talking, he would stop and chat for a few minutes and then continue his exercise. To his surprise, she was brilliant, passionate, and seemed ready to take on the world. They became friends when he was going to ask her to dinner to get to know her better when his plans did not account for her uncle, who does not like Izuku talking to Melissa. She was never alone after that. Once the beach was clean, a mere month later, he didn't see her around anymore. Always watching, she gazed from her balcony, focused on the vast ocean before her. In her mind's eye, she saw him standing right beside her. She had been stealing moments of solitude, but now the waiting had paid off. Nothing and no one stood in her way anymore. She could finally have what she had been longing for, a future with her beloved ODR. T-1 month there she was, in black leather pants, a tight shirt, with a leather jacket slung over her shoulder. The two of them eyed each other for a moment, her wondering if she maybe looked silly, his wondering if this was real before they embraced. Momo was back in Japan. Wanting to surprise him, she had kept her return plans off his radar by feeding him false information. She had been home for a few days getting settled and readjusted to the time difference before making her surprise visit to his home. Of course, she coordinated with Inko to ensure it would go off without a hitch. Looking up to meet his eyes, she noticed he had grown taller. It pleased her that he was the perfect height for her head to rest on his shoulder when they hugged. Moreover, he had gained muscle and lost the last traces of baby fat. When he lifted her into the air and wrapped his arms around her waist, she couldn't help but giggle, surprising them both. As they embraced, Izuku couldn't help but notice how fuller her figure had become. Her closeness stirred something within him, and her giggles caught him off guard. He lifted her off her feet and paused, admiring her warm gaze and delicate features. Her hands gently cupped his face, and though they had many unanswered questions, the moment felt like a fleeting dream. She was lost in thoughts of romance and yearning while he was consumed by youthful exuberance. Just as they were about to kiss, the sound of pictures being taken brought them back to reality. They turned and saw Inko standing there smiling. "Welcome back, Momo," the woman said. Flustered and blushing, the two teens smiled as Momo returned the greeting, and Izuku rubbed the back of his head. As the final exam preparations were underway, stealing moments became a challenge. Momo ensured that their study sessions remained focused. They were pleasantly surprised by the number of new friends he had made but disappointed with the few female friends. Nonetheless, Meeting Eri was an absolute delight that surpassed everything else. The heiress had a great time meeting the art class. When she heard of the art class, she was very curious to meet them, and learning of the extenuating circumstances that had landed them in such a precarious position was troubling to her. She shuddered thinking of the road they could have been sent on if not for the program. How if they had been shunned or further mistreated one day should she become a hero they could be opposing her. Itsuka and her group were pleasant and hardworking. The fact that they were the most normal students she had met endeared them to her even more, and she was pleasantly surprised to meet 3 other recommended students. The 5 of them, Momo, Setsuna, Cassandra, Haruhime, and Izuku, worked diligently together to prepare for their exams ahead of the others. Examination. Izuku had a hard time falling asleep the night before. When his alarm sounded, it seemed to be blaring much louder than usual. Rising to his feet, he walked across the hall to the shower, taking his time, letting the water wash over him, hoping it would wash away his anxiety and fears. A knock on the door from his mother brought him back to the real world. With a quick reply, he stepped out and dressed for the most important day in his life to date. Entering the kitchen, he was surprised not to see Nomori around, as she and his mother's relationship seemed to be going well. Thankfully, he had not stumbled into anything risque beyond kisses and cuddles. It was endearing to see his mother happy and seemingly content. It was also interesting to know the difference between the pro-heroine Midnight, Teacher Midnight, Mama Midnight, and Nomori. Her being over more often allowed Izuku to spend much more time with Haru and Eri, as the girls would be over more often. The 2 Midoriyas ate and babbled as they prepared for the long day ahead. Inko was preparing for an expected uptick in infirmary visits and Izuku the exam. The only advice Nomori had shared with him was that all the exams had been tailor-made for each examinee. The rest of Aizawa had filled him in on the multi-step process. It would start with an interview, a written exam, a physical exam, a second interview, and a practical exam, with their numbers being reduced at each stage. His mother drove them to UA. They hugged a little longer before they separated so he could meet with his friends and check in. He found Momo and Setsuna already waiting, talking about various things as he approached. They all joined in on some review questions for a bit before, with a laugh, they watched as Haru and Cassandra were running up, somehow managing to be 5 minutes late despite living on campus. The check-in was easy. They were all led off to a waiting room flanked by multiple doors heading out. They took their seats and sat in quiet conversation as the rest of the examinees made their way in. It was interesting to see all the students coming in. Izuku was busying himself, seeing if you could get hints of their quirks to chase off his nervousness. Stage 1. First interview. Haruhime the kitsune sat in the forbidding room. A simple desk with 2 steel chairs was the only decoration. The white walls seemed slightly green, giving the room an almost sickly feel. The door across the room opened, and in walked a stern-looking man in a black suit, white shirt, and black tie. He could have been more descriptive. Otherwise, his black hair and eyes add to his demeanor. The chair released a metal screech as he pulled it back from the table. Greetings, examinee number 89. I am going to be conducting your interview. My name is Mr. Ito. The man said, his voice matching everything else about the man. Hello, sir, she replied, hoping her nervousness did not come through in her voice. Now, let's begin. Your name is Haruhime Sanjuno? Yes. Age 17. Yes. What is your quirk? Grow. What does it do? It provides a small boost to the target natural healing process and removes certain levels of fatigue. The girl responded in her practiced response. Midnight and Nezu have expressed that she is not to reveal the true nature of her quirk to anyone without express permission from Midnight or himself. Is that all it does? He asked, with a hint of skepticism. Yes, sir. She responded. With such a seemingly minor quirk and looking at your intelligence tests, why are you in the recommended exam? It is the hope of my advocate recovery girl and myself that the healing boost I provide with my quirk will grow and become on par, if not better than her quirk. As healing quirks are rare, she put me forth for the recommended exam. Are you aware that in a standard set of circumstances, you are not the only student she has put forth for this exam, and that the second person also has a healing quirk? One that is more developed and seems much stronger than yours. That would be Cassandra, and yes, I am aware. With your demeanor and quirks, you would be better off attending a medical university than the hero course at UA. Why do you want are you applying then? Because if it weren't for the bravery of heroes, I would still be imprisoned, watching my little sister being tortured. If I can gain admittance, then not only can I still go to medical school as is the plan, but I can also be a support hero like Recovery Girl herself. I want to provide aid and backup to those who risked their lives for mine. Now, before we dive deeper into that, let's talk about your little sister, Eri Kayama. The two of you were held as prisoners for years by the villain Overhaul, whose criminal dealings have been dealt a substantial blow, but he and a few of his lieutenants managed to escape custody. What can you tell me about Eri? And her quirk? No offense, sir. Her quirk has nothing to do with my exam or is any of your business, a hint of steel rising in her voice. As far as Eri goes, she is my little sister. I was her maid when Overhaul held us. She is also part of the reason I want to be a hero, to show her that we can truly overcome anything to rise to great heights, to rise above our stations or what others may deem as our lot in life, to become something greater. Understood, he replied with a hint of annoyance. Are you willing to discuss Izuku Midoriya? What about him, sir? Her posture becoming more rigid, her tail bristling slightly, as she leaned forward in her chair. According to my file, it says that you are rather close to your fellow examinee than other members of the at-risk class. Would you care to elaborate? He is the one that held off Overhaul and Asterius, allowing Eri and I to escape at great risk to himself. We share some similar interests, and he is quite protective of Eri. I fail to see what my relationship with him has to do with my interview, Mr. Ito. According to the file, it showed that you and Eri have spent time at his house much more than your classmates. His mother and our guardian are friends. Unlike the other members of the ARC, Eri and I do not have the same restrictions placed on our movement. I have a good relationship with every member of the ARC. They have all been warm, patient, and welcoming not only to me but to Eri as well. The girls of the class are a treasure to be around, and the boys are protective and well-mannered despite any rough appearances. If you want to know more about Mr. Ito, you should schedule an interview with them. I would not presume to speak on their or Mr. Midoriya's behalf. What would you do if you saw Overhaul on the streets? Immediately report it to the proper authorities. If I am a hero or have my license, I would follow and keep my distance until backup arrived, as long as he was not a threat to others around him. If he were a threat and seemed to have a hyperfixation on myself, I would attempt to lure him away to an area to minimize the risk to innocent lives. I have no desire to see him dead. I want him brought to justice to answer for his crimes. Very good, now let's talk about Stage 2, Written Exam, Cassandra. Cassandra emerged from her interview, annoyed but happy she had passed. Following the corridor, she entered the auditorium, surprised to see that 8 of the original 100 examinees were already missing. The interview process had been annoying, and she particularly didn't like the person doing the exam. But she didn't expect to see that 8 people would not have made it past the first stage. Maybe they just froze up. Her nerves ran rampant as she took the seat, matching her examinee number, looking around, hoping to catch a glimpse of her friends, and there he was, Izuku. He turned, and they saw each other. He gave a warm smile, almost like he could tell she was getting nervous. It had the desired effect as she took her seat. It took her a moment to locate Haru, Set, and Momo, but she felt more tension leaving her as she could pick them out. Then, Ectoplasm took the stage as several duplicates moved down the aisles handing out the test booklets. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome to the written exam for UA recommended students. Each test has been tailored to the individual test taker. There are 150 questions in total, and you will have 3 hours to complete your exam. You are not allowed to leave your seat once the test begins. Should you do so, you will automatically fail the exam and not be allowed to move on to the next stage. If a device malfunctions, raise your hand, and I will provide you with a new one to continue. Cheating of any kind will not be tolerated. If you do not have what you need on your desk, please do so now, as your bags will be off limits. Begin. The sound of the booklet's opening was immediate. Cassandra's first portion was math, a subject she was comfortable with but not confident about. It took a moment, but soon everything was blocked out as she focused on the task, answering questions, moving forward the best she could. Can a person be motivated by desires that are not ultimately selfish? Yes. Behavior is usually described as altruistic when it is motivated by a desire to benefit someone other than oneself for that person's sake. The poet John Keats once wrote, in his poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty, that is all ye know on earth and all ye need to know." By contrast, Plato, in the Republic, warns of poetry's power to make a falsehood seem authentic by beautifying it. What, then, is the relationship between beauty, as achieved by the artist, and truth? The truth can be beautiful, especially when it sets us free. However, some facts can be challenging to hear and ugly and heartbreaking. Beauty can help us cope with these inconvenient truths and other hardships in life. It is unrealistic to expect anyone to live by hearing only raw facts every day. We all tend to deceive ourselves in some way or another to make life a little more bearable. What part should intent play in determining the punishment for crime? For instance, if a man attempts to kill another man but fails to kill him and, instead, only wounds him, should he receive a lighter sentence than the man who intends to kill another man and succeeds? He should not be rewarded for failing to do so and be punished as if he had succeeded. Suppose in the course of a quirk awakening, people are seriously injured. Should the person be held responsible for the crime and allowed to continue with their life without any repercussions? Cassandra froze when her quirk awakened. She had hurt people. That was what landed her in the art class. It had been believed for a time that her quirk could only hurt people. It was after that it was found that her quirk could heal and was more powerful. That way she was given a spot in the recommendation exam. But someone had been permanently scarred by her, Daphne. The girl bore Cassandra no ill will and was her friend to this day. But there was someone else that had been caught in the awakening. Her mother. Her mother had suffered permanent damage to her knee and could no longer walk unaided. Should Cassandra be punished? She was 4 and had no idea what she was doing. What about the others in the class, like Fujin, Reijin, or Toga? What happened wasn't their fault. Should they be punished? I don't know. She sat there staring at what she had written, seconds ticking by when the silence was broken by someone screaming as they were being taken out of the room, a look of madness in their eyes. It's a cookbook, you fools. It's a cookbook. She looked at the previous answer and just moved on. If you knew this was your last day, would you do the same things you're doing? There is someone who gives me butterflies in my stomach. I wish to express my feelings to them and hear their response, even if it's just for a day. Stage 3. Physical exam. Momo stood in the waiting room. Having completed her first interview, she had just passed the written exam. She felt prepared for the physical exam. The first part was, as expected, a medical evaluation conducted by Inko. Momo blushed as questions about sexual activity were posed, seeing as she had a budding relationship with the woman's son. After that part, she was surprised. Inko handed her a UA gym uniform and told her to exit the room through a different door and head to the waiting room for the second part of her physical exam. When the door opened, there was a young girl who invited her into a large workout room with a sparring circle to the side. The woman left Momo alone for a moment till the American Pro Mass walked into the room in his hero costume. It was a white bodysuit with a purple and green stripping along the sides, arms, and legs. His hood was pulled back to show his head of white hair with matching color streaks. The man was considerably standing 6 feet 5 and easily as broad as All Might, if not more so. He was known for his fierce combat but surprisingly gentle nature outside action. Welcome, examinee number 45. Today, I will put you through a series of physical fitness tests, followed by a physical combat exam without quirks. Should you pass, you will be moved to the next portion of the physical exam. Are there minimum requirements for the fitness tests? Momo asked. Yes, but I will not divulge what those are. We are interested in the best you can do, not if you can do the minimum. Now please get warmed up so we can begin. After warming up, she began the tests: 50-yard dash, pull-ups, bench press, leg press, squats, crunches, vertical jump, and long jump. He ran her through this cycle 3 times, measuring her scores. He would offer very few words of encouragement instead of leaving her mostly in her thoughts. He made sure she did a cool down and stretched out before having her walk over to the sparring circle. As she walked over, she noticed a weapons rack, and entering the ring, she saw an unknown hero standing at the edge of the ring. His suit was white and blue alternating sides to a full mask with long blonde hair in a braid poking out. He was well built. As she stepped into the ring, he stepped forward. She couldn't see his facial expression, and his eyes were hidden behind white lenses. Greeting, examinee. You may refer to me by my hero name, Pawn. We will engage in a physical combat session. We can engage in hand-to-hand or the weapon you choose. The object will be to force your opponent to yield. Do you have any questions? No sir, I would choose weapons. She walked over, choosing a bow staff. After testing it, she found it satisfactory and took up her position in the ring. She saw the hero choose the same weapon and take a casual stance across from her. At the sound of the bell, we will begin. If no one has managed to earn a surrender from their opponent in the 3 minutes, you will be awarded the match. We will do this till someone scores 3 victories. I understand. Stage 4. Second interview. Setsuna. After finishing her lunch, Setsuna went to her second interview feeling tired and sore. The food had been delicious, and she was glad her friends were still in the competition despite looking fatigued from the physical exam. Haru seemed mainly worn out. During lunch, there was a commotion between a boy with white and red hair and a tall guy with black hair. Eventually, the black-haired guys stormed out of the cafeteria. The heterochromatic teen returned to their meal and didn't seem bothered by the disturbance. While observing Izuku, she couldn't help but notice a girl with blue hair stealing glances at him. It seemed as though she was captivated by the white-haired boy. Izuku was a headache all on his own. For Setsuna, now he was attracting even more freaking attention. Itsuka just had to jump him naked at this point. She heard her name called and followed ectoplasm to her second interview. When she entered, she was surprised to see the president of the UA himself sitting waiting. Welcome, Ms. Tokage. Please have a seat. I trust you know who I am. I would hope that anyone applying to UA would know who you are, sir, the girl responded, taking the seat offered. Thank you for the compliment, Ms. Tokage. Shall we begin? I don't see why not. Now, Ms. Tokage, you have performed admirably in all exam areas thus far. Your first interview went smoothly, your written exam scores were impressive, and while your physical fitness scores were decent, your combat skills were lackluster. However, I understand that the inability to use your quirk may have severely hindered your usual combat style. Why should you be allowed to join UA as a recommended student? Because I am already here and wouldn't want to take the written test again in the normal exam, she replied with a smile. Nezu cocked his head to the side. Set took a deep breath. My quirk is a mutation quirk. It is hard for those with mutation quirks to break into the higher ranks, especially if their quirks make them look less human. Take Gang Orca, an exceptional hero that has to work 5 times as hard as a similar hero. Mirko is an exception but is very fetishized due to her appearance and our culture's long fascination with bunny girls. Though not readily apparent, my skin scales and these teeth are a giveaway. My quirk is functional, flashy, and very versatile in various situations. By allowing me to attend UA, you are not only allowing one of the most intelligent people to take your test but one that has the desire and will to not only become a top hero but one to champion other mutants and those who are looked down upon for nothing within their control. You are that confident in your intelligence score? Yes, I will make you a bet right now. I am listening. You have our scores right in front of you. If I didn't place in the top 5 of those who took the written exam, I will withdraw from this exam and take the regular one. If I placed in the top 3, we could call this interview complete. Nezu smiled at the girl, then this interview is complete. Set smiled. Number 2 or number 3, I am willing to bet Momo took number 1. 2, and you are correct. That girl is something else. Thank you for your time, sir. I will head out for the practical exam now. Set stood and walked out, a spring in her step. Nezu was looking forward to this year's crop of students. It was shaping up to be excellent. Stage 5. Practical exam. Izuku left the interview and headed to the practical exam area, stopping by the locker room to get change. He secured his dagger and stood for a moment, his eyes closed. Almost there, Grandma, almost there. As he walked into the staging area, he was met with the sight of a young woman with striking green eyes and long blue hair styled with 2 long bangs, 2 strands on the sides, and a partly braided tail at the back. She donned a white and pale blue outfit paired with long brown boots with a light brown design. Additionally, she wore a belt that held a piece of white cloth and a dagger, along with gold bracelets and various hair accessories made of gold. In her hand was a silver bow, yet he saw no quiver. As he looked at the bow, he saw writing similar to his dagger. He had never seen something like that before. The girl turned and gave him a knowing smile like she was in on some secret, and he wasn't. Slightly confused, he extended his hand. Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Izuku Midoriya. Artemis Tasuki, the girl said. This may sound weird, but have we met before? We have. She said with a beaming smile. We have? When? Where? He asked as his mind raced about how he could have forgotten a girl like this. The worst part is that he felt she wasn't lying. He could feel something in the back of his mind screaming to be heard, crying out for an answer. Yup, she responded, emphasizing the P, once upon a dream. To be contained. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.